Today's episode has an extended cut, available on Patreon or my main channel's membership for as little as $1. Check the links in the description if you want to find out more.
You know, Connor, gamers are always like, man, that Resident is so evil. But they're never like, damn, this Resident is so good.
Alright, so this is the best intro I've heard so far. I like that. That's good.
I'm a Residence positive kind of person.
Yeah.
I want people to be proud of their residences.
I'm glad that anyone who sat past the 30-second mark is like, alright, hell yeah, we're in for another episode of The List Goes On. And they haven't gone, what the fuck is happening? God? What year is it?
I love your projection of an audience that listens to one joke at the start of a video and goes, what is this? I'm confused. Get me out of here. Well, here we are, Connor. Episode 24. We've got Jack Bauer on the stream. He's going to tell us about the time he stopped the terrorists from blowing up a building.
Within 24 hours.
This is going to be our first 24-hour long show. And before you all say, wasn't the Silent Hill one 24 hours? No, it wasn't. It was 22 hours. So I want to hear it, okay?
Well, I've been awake for more than 24 hours before. I'm sure I could do this.
You've been awake for more than 24 hours within the last week.
Yeah, that was a bad time. I've got to say, this wasn't necessarily the best week for me to come back to Resident Evil on, because I did attempt to do a full playthrough of this for the show.
Yeah, and but then you had to call in Mama Ash to finish it for you.
I nearly got there. I ran out of time. I just ran out of time.
He was too busy seeing me on other days of the week, which isn't me upping myself up, that is true.
We had to play a different list game.
Yeah, under different circumstances.
And we had to play D&D. It's very important.
Do people know that we do this every Thursday?
No, I don't think they do, actually.
Yeah, every Thursday.
We play the games for the list every week, like once every week. And as a result of that, the release schedule of these games has been drastically outpaced by how many more that we've played in the meantime.
Yeah, there was not a brief period, there was a year-long period in which we said we're going to play 2 really long role-playing games.
Yeah.
So we can catch up with the podcast. We released like 2 episodes.
We did.
In the year it took us to finish those 2 games.
Yeah.
It was embarrassing for us.
I know.
Well, to get us back on track, we are going on our backwards crazy tour of the Resident Evil franchise. We started with 4, went back to 2, but it's a newer version of 2 than the version of 4 that we played. Then we're going back to 1, but it's a remake of 1. And then we're going to do 5.
Oh, yes!
But this is a very, very special episode for me, Connor.
Yeah.
Because not only is this a Resident Evil game, which I'm always here for, even when it's the bad ones, this is my very favourite Resident Evil game.
Yeah.
I'm very, very excited to talk about this and to accept no criticisms. Why did you become Father Christmas?
Oh, because it's a very Merry Christmas indeed, isn't it? No, that's going to be very interesting going into this, because I feel like what's going to be interesting is that as a diehard fan of this game who's played it many, many times, you're going to come at it from an angle of someone who knows it almost inside out.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm going to come at it from an angle of someone who is probably more of a relaxed enjoyer of these games, where like I played it the first time and enjoyed it overall, and I've come back for it a second time and like been reminded of a few things, but I generally try to look at it more from an angle of, I guess, like a relaxed player of these games.
The amount of times I finished this game is a magnitude of like tens of times over the amount of times that you finished it.
Yes.
So, I'm also very glad you brought that up, because I do think that's actually one of the most valuable parts of us doing this, because I am not helpful to talk to about this game, because I cannot relate to you. I have made my Resident Evil millions. I put on my trousers 2 legs at a time like an angel. Like, I can't understand the experience of playing this game for the very first time. So you being here to bring me back down to that position, I think is actually going to make this tolerable to listen to.
I will try to not be too harsh on some things that bothered me, because I understand that part of it is just me being an idiot.
Yeah.
I think this is more like, it's very apt to compare this to say this is your Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah.
Where it's the first game that you ever played. The original anyway, right?
Yeah.
And then there's another one of us coming in, having played it like 2 times, being like, yeah, that's alright.
Yeah,
that's pretty good. Yeah. So, tell us about this game, Resident Evil Ash, because some people don't know what this is, somehow.
You think?
Sure.
I mean, I guess that's believable. I don't really know much about Prince of Persia. You jump, I think. I don't know. So basically, this is the very first in the incredibly important and well-protected Resident Evil timeline, which is rock solid.
Yeah.
Basically, the events of this game's story take place in the outskirts of a city called Raccoon City, which is the home of a world-famous pharmaceutical company called Umbrella, and also home to the world's weirdest police force.
Yeah.
They have a special forces military squad, which I guess isn't that out of character for American police these days, but back then it seemed strange.
Let's see if I can remember the acronym. It's the Special Training and...
Special Tactics and Rescue.
Special Tactics and Rescue. Yeah.
The S.T.A.R.S, which they are the stars in our eyes, Connor. They do lovely dances. Basically, what's been happening in Raccoon City as of late is a series of bizarre cannibal murders. People are being found torn to shreds by some kind of insane beast in the shape of a man, and S.T.A.R.S, being the premier police force in the city, are sent to investigate by flying around the mountains for a bit, walking through the woods like, any cannibals in here? So what's happened is that the Bravo team of S.T.A.R.S have been sent into the Arklay Mountains, which are the mountains surrounding Raccoon City, and have gone missing for 2 days. So to find them, the Alpha team is sent instead, which includes Chris Redfield, everyone's favourite melon, Jill Valentine, who's in things.
Not enough things.
Yeah, and the very, very charismatic and lovely Albert Wesker.
Yeah.
Is a rock. He will be there for you no matter what. He's lovely. He's a great guy.
He's an incredible guy.
Yeah. It's so funny. This is one of those, because alright, Albert Wesker's a villain. He's a bad guy. That's the thing. If you go back, let's say that you're me in 2008, but it's 2026.
Yeah.
And you're going through the same arc where you're going back through the old horror game classics because you've kind of got a thing going on. You go to Resident Evil 1 and they're trying to tell you that Wesker is a good guy and you're like, what are you talking about? That's the guy who says complete global saturation. Also, look at him. He's got slicked back blonde hair and he's wearing sunglasses and he's got this gravity hey guys, I'm Wesker. It's like trying to watch, I don't know, Revenge of the Sith and not knowing that Anakin turns to the dark side. It's such a well-known twist. Basically, these people are going through the mountains trying to find their missing partners. They are then accosted by an attack from some very vicious dogs, which forces them to flee into a mysterious mansion that emerges out of the woods, to which they hope to find safety, but they instead find only a nightmare. As the game says, you have now entered into the world of survival horror.
Oh no, it says enter the survival horror.
Enter the survival horror,
which
baby.
Is incredible.
Which, it sounds dumb, but also that's where survival horror gets its name. So I'm this is the most important text in all of human history.
It's the grimdark of...
This is the Dead Sea Scrolls. They took Resident Evil out of the cave and were like, my god, they're going to make Haunting Ground from this.
Fuck. Resident Evil is it's got more DNA with a point-and-click adventure game, really, than it does an action game.
Or do you want to get into it? Should we go through the journey together?
Sure, if you want.
Because, dear listeners, as you will probably be aware, and as we've hinted at in the past, this is not actually Resident Evil 1. This is Resident Evil 2002, the GameCube remake of the PlayStation 1 classic. So let's talk about Resident Evil 1 for a second.
Yeah,
which is a PlayStation 1 game released in 1996, the year I was born. So coming together. Resident Evil 1 for the PS1 is a remake of an NES horror game called Sweet Home, which is a licensed game of a movie.
Yes.
Which is ridiculous. I believe it came out in the late 80s, maybe the early 90s.
Well, licensed video games were quite common back then.
Well, they were so much easier to make, right?
They were, and they usually had very little to do with the film.
Yeah. Although I think the Sweet Home game actually is more faithful to the movie than most game adaptations were.
Yeah.
Because Sweet Home is like a horror film set in a spooky house where they're solving puzzles and things like that.
Yeah.
And we haven't played Sweet Home. I haven't played Sweet Home. We intend to play Sweet Home. We intend to welcome you into our Sweet Home with cakes and treats.
Yeah.
But as far as I'm aware, Sweet Home is Resident Evil without the combat. It's got, commonalities with JRPGs, where it's got, a menu-based system and you're in a party, but you're using the commands in the party to explore this mansion and solve puzzles, and you're trying to get through it without having as little people die as possible. It's like a weird quasi-roguelike, party-based survival horror role-playing game. It's a very weird concoction of genres and mixes and things like that. And the basic idea is that when they started making Resident Evil 1, they were intending to remake Sweet Home. Alright, I have a whole essay to talk about with this, but survival horror or just horror in games is such a weird genre because you couldn't really do it in the early years of the industry.
No.
Because you try and make something scary on the NES, and the only thing that's scary about it is those pixels and the density, baby. Because it's just a bunch of blocks and squares and stuff. So much so that, like, Clock Tower, as a franchise, only really has any kind of, like, cultural appeal because it was a scary game on the SNES.
And it actually does it quite well.
It does a pretty decent job, yeah. But when they got to the PS1 era, they were like, well, shit, we can have camera angles now. We can hide things. We can do all kinds of tricks and things that we couldn't do before. Let's remake one of our old horror games. What have we got? Sweet Home. No one knows what that fucking is. Let's make a different game instead.
Well, I think it's interesting because obviously as the pioneer, practically the inventor properly of this genre that's come out, it's kind of like if there was a massive platforming franchise that developed a whole new type of platformer that was originally based on fucking DuckTales.
Yeah.
Where it's like, this is not a remake of that game, but it's using so many of its like DNA to inform its design.
And just to combat the people who are rushing to their keyboards right now to kill me for my lack of knowledge, yes, I will acknowledge Alone in the Dark.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
This game was probably really important to push the cinematic angles of games.
Yeah.
But I did think for a moment, and I was like, Alone in the Dark is like an original point as well for a similar reason.
Alone in the Dark demands great cred. It is welcome to its place in history. It's not as good as Resident Evil.
What?
It's a much stodgier and much more awkward game, but it very much did serve as kind of like the template, I suppose, because I'm sure we're all aware that like the 3D era, like the beginning of the 3D era was a really confusing and weird time because everyone was like, oh fuck, there's a whole Z now.
Yeah.
What do I put in that? More pixels? No? Shit.
Yeah.
And I think from my research, I seem to recall that when they were trying to do the remake of Sweet Home, they couldn't figure out what the fuck to do with it. Like, it was in first person for a really long time. It was more of a dungeon crawler at some point.
Yeah.
And then I think Alone in the Dark gave them the template they needed to then go and be like, okay, this is actually what this has to be structured like to be effective. And that's where we got the fixed camera angle, the tank controls, resource management, all the good stuff that everyone universally loves. We're all united hand in hand around those 3 precepts.
Hey, now 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Yeah. The reason why I'm talking so much about Resident Evil 1, I mean, it's a remake of that game, so it's relevant. But also, they remade The Last of Us. If you recall.
I do.
But I remember everyone was really mad about it, myself included, despite being a fan, because it had only been 9 years since the original PS3 version came out.
Yeah.
And we all universally agreed that wasn't enough time for it to warrant a remake.
Yeah.
This came out 6 years after Resident Evil 1 came out.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. But we're all okay with it, because the leap in technology between the PS1 and the PS2 and all the other consoles is so crazy that looking at like screenshots of Resident Evil 1 and the remake, you cannot believe they are only a single generation apart.
No, honestly, Resident Evil Remake, which we'll get into a bit later, uses a lot of really interesting shortcuts in order to get as much out of the GameCube as possible. And it does make it into a game that honestly looks as good as a 7th gen game. In some cases, I would say this is even better looking than like some 360 launch titles, really. Like, this is better looking than Gun.
No! I would argue that this is maybe the most visually appealing to the modern day tank controls, fixed camera angles horror game of all of them. The only other real contender would be Haunting Ground. And like, Haunting Ground is more impressive technically because it's all 3D.
Hello, Rule of Rose. Yeah,
oh, don't come at me with Rule of Rose.
I'm sorry, you didn't make the cut.
You're the one out there on the streets being like, oh, all the rooms look the same, because they do.
And I'll also be the one to say that Resident Evil's remake kicks ass, unlike Alone in the Dark.
Well, you know, I haven't played Alone in the Dark. Let's expose myself as a fraud and a fake.
I guess you're right.
Yeah. We don't actually know if that game... It just looks kind of stupid from the footage I've seen.
Oh, I'm talking about the remake of Alone in the Dark.
Oh, the 2008 remake.
Yeah, which we have played.
Yeah, and we will play again. We got to go back.
Yes! See, this is the thing, viewers. When it comes to horror games, Ash actually makes me play good ones. And I bring Alone in the Dark.
And please believe, even if it isn't true, that is universally true. All of my horror games have been club bangers, absolute classics.
I look at Rule of Rose.
Hey, the game had themes. Alright, okay.
And you're saying Alone in the Dark didn't, huh?
It's about commuting in New York.
It's very realistic to that.
So this remake, released for the GameCube in 2002, is kind of weird because it's on the GameCube.
Yeah.
What's going on there? From my understanding, in the let's say, PlayStation 4 era, The concept of being multi-platform, whilst desirable, was really annoying. Because every console was a stupid piece of dumb shit. Every single one worked in a completely arcane, esoteric, unique way.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, you'd go to Nintendo and go, how does the N64 work? And they go, figure it out, stupid. We did.
Yeah, you made it.
Yeah. And we'll guard our secrets till the grave. Only, like, the bigger series, I guess, could be reliably multi-platform. And even though Resident Evil had been exclusive to the PlayStation for its first free entries, it kind of reached a kind of mainstream momentum where they were like, we've got to get this everywhere. We've got to have Code Veronica on the fucking Dreamcast. We've got to have Resident Evil 1 on the Saturn. We've got to have an N64 port for some godforsaken reason. And they were trying to branch out. And then Sony sent them the development kits for a PS2, and they went, fuck off. This is the worst thing I've ever seen in my goddamn life. So they decided, for some reason that really escapes my understanding, they went, alright, the funny clown box from the funny clown people, we're going to put our survival horror PlayStation game only on that for the entire generation. We're going to remake Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3. We're going to port Code Veronica, Resident Evil 0, Resident Evil 4, only on the GameCube. We'll see how that played out for them. But what it means is that this game was exclusive to the GameCube for a very long time.
I mean, I am looking at 4 different boxes of it, so evidently that didn't last.
Don't worry about it. It's fine.
But what does this remake do for it that the original didn't do?
I have 2 thoughts on this. One of them is more business-oriented. I get the feeling that maybe Capcom, when deciding that the GameCube were going to be their home for Resident Evil, they were like, we should probably make sure people know what this is. Because if you start putting out games, like if you go right into RE4, Johnny GameCube has been playing, I don't know, Chibi Robo all day, is at the store and he's like, but I haven't played Resident Evil 1 through 3, so I have no idea what I'm doing. So maybe it was a sense of like, we're trying to establish a new audience, we're trying to establish a new marketplace for us, we've got to start with the original, get people acquainted with the whole franchise. I mean, they might have played the port of 2 on the N64, but no one played that.
See, I think that's utterly fascinating, considering that from a gameplay perspective, Resident Evil 4 is very different. And from a story perspective, Resident Evil 4 is self-contained.
Well, yeah, but when they were making Resident Evil 4, they didn't know that yet.
I guess they didn't know.
Because they were still working on Hoarding Ground, I guess, at this point. They had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, they're on their version 2, having chucked out the Dante version.
Given that to Kamiya,
back when he was going to be called Tony.
Tony!
That's my favourite thing you've told me about Devil May Cry.
Well, he was originally called Tony.
Yes.
I can't remember if he's the director on this, but Shinji Mikami, who was not the creator of Resident Evil, but one of the leading creatives behind their first game, was in charge of this. And from what I can tell, Resident Evil 1 came out in 1996 on the PlayStation 1. It was the first 3D game of that type they had made. And I'm going to be frank with you. Resident Evil 1 looks like a hot crock of shit.
Oh.
It's just, like, awkward. Like, all the rooms are weirdly sized. Every room has, like, different crazy wallpaper. And, like, it just looks kind of dumb in a way that Resident Evil 2 and 3 don't, because they had gotten a better handle on how to make 3D games.
Yeah.
I do appreciate there are people who do like the kind of funky design of Resident Evil 1, because it gives it a very distinct look.
That's what I was going to say.
But I think when you're looking back at it as the creators, maybe that wasn't what you were trying to do. Like, you wanted to make something a bit more coherent. So you wanted to have another go at it so you could do the thing you were trying to do all along.
Yeah.
That's the impression that I get from reading them talk about this remake.
What I was going to say is that back in 1996, it seemed like people were generally using the original Resident Evil as a benchmark for the PlayStation 1's graphical fidelity.
Yeah.
Like, to the point, they'd compare it to, like, Mario 64, which is kind of weird in a genre and stylistic way.
It's also, like, RE1 has a lot of, like, very closed rooms. Like, very, very boxy. You're only ever in one room at a time, you know?
Yeah.
It's not like an open space. What I think ties Mario 64 and Resident Evil 1 as pieces of tech or showcases, especially in comparison to the preceding SNES generation, is a sense of space. A sense of physical space. Because when you're playing a SNES game, and I apologize if people who love 2D games stab me in the eyes for this, fair enough. But because they're, like, so abstracted, they're 2D planes, it's always side-scrolling, or some kind of, like, trick to make it look like it has depth. Those games have a very specific sense of place that are very, very SNES-coded. Whereas going into the PlayStation 1 and the N64 era, like, you couldn't have locations like this on those previous consoles. These feel like spaces that were made possible by the advent of 3D capable hardware, if that makes sense. Like a mansion that's intricate and knowable and mysterious as the Spencer Mansion is in RE1, and the wide open vistas and spaces of the Mario 64 levels.
Yeah.
They feel like they weren't possible previously.
I would say, if anything, I think that verticality was one of the main points of complication, like the way that you would make an intricate level in 2D games.
Yeah.
But with the third dimension, it is the idea, this is a very good point, I'm so glad you said this, because I wouldn't have really thought of it otherwise, that in order to have this labyrinthine maze that is kind of comprehensible, it's very important to have that third axis.
And also to have, like, in Resident Evil 1's case, cinematography.
Yeah.
Because it has fixed, chosen camera angles elected by the developers that, like in a film, create a sense of space or a sense of symbolism or make you feel certain ways about certain rooms, you know?
Yeah, and they help you process and understand how to comprehend a 3D space that isn't actually there.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of mentioned this point about the graphical benchmark because this was definitely considered a graphical benchmark for the Gamecube, even if that's a little unfair.
It's maybe like a misunderstanding of how this game is made, because at the end of the day, the results speak for themselves and it's a very impressive looking game, but also they are kind of doing a trick.
They are.
They are just basically making a bunch of really nice environments on a very powerful computer, taking pictures of them and then showing you those pictures.
Yeah.
And you go, well, the GameCube's crazy.
And they're rendering the character models and some of the props in real-time 3D lighting, but the idea is that on a CRT monitor or TV, I suppose, those are going to kind of blend together quite well.
Yeah. I mean, they still look... You can definitely see the effect more, obviously, when you're playing the HD version or on a modern TV, but it still looks quite fetching, honestly.
It is. I think that, when it comes to lighting and everything, it's still kind of incredible. I mean, fuck, like, for the 2014 re-release of this game, they were able to port in the Resident Evil 5 models with, like, very little issue because the engine could run them.
Well, I think the point that I want to make about it all being pre-rendered backgrounds is that because of that, dude, you can have so many polygons on the fucking characters because all your rendering power is being used. It's that, and it's also all the effects overlaying the pre-rendered backgrounds, like the lightning strikes or the rain or like running water and things like that. Because you can entirely focus the GameCube's raw power, 17 Gokus, onto these very specific effects and parts of the screen in a way that's very impressive. Here's when I grab the mic and I run away and scream about how fixed camera angles are so good. And it's a shame that we've abandoned them.
Oh, I was going to say, for my replay, I did it on the PC version of the game, and occasionally I'd have to Alt-Tab in order to sort something out.
Oh, yeah?
But I will say it is very amusing to tab back in, because for a split second, it won't have loaded in the post-processing effects or the 3D backgrounds.
Oh, really?
So you get these very flat 3D models for a brief second, and then the entire world pops in, and they actually look like they're in an unnavigable space.
That's fantastic. That's great.
It's kind of good, though. It kind of comes into its favor, though, because it then gives you a contrast to go like, oh, yeah, that's how they made this look so good.
Yeah.
These do blend together really, really well.
Well, it's really interesting. I won't get too far into it, but like the way they made them is that it's like literally a PNG that they're scrolling up and downwards, and then they've made little polygon paths where the bits that you can walk around it.
Yeah.
And it's like, if they took this out, you would just walk over it like it was a picture on a desktop background.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah, like they do a lot of things to make the depth feel real. It's really impressive.
It's a kind of trickery that isn't used by many other games. The most immediate one I can think of is actually Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah.
And that's because the engine that was used to make that game originally is like incredibly basic.
Yeah, and I kind of want to like backpedal a little bit. Because I like to build up a funny, exaggerated reputation of my beliefs about tank controls and fixed camera angles, that I just think they're good in every circumstance. They are a dead end. They are only good for this kind of game.
Yeah.
Like a horror game in a small location with not much action. But I still do wish there were more games still taking use of that. Because could you imagine how good a modern pre-rendered background could look these days?
Well, I think the visuals are probably one of the most universally agreed upon great parts of Resident Evil's remake of 2000.
I mean, I think it's like the atmosphere, like the kind of improvements they make, even when you go past just the improved detail, I think are really, really impressive, because what I really like about it is they have a very clever use of lighting, of moisture, of weather, and showing you things through reflections, through windows, through mirrors, highlighting certain parts of the screen to emphasize. There's a certain corridor that you go into, and as you get into it, the camera is facing towards a mirror, and on the mirror you can see on the other side of the corridor is a zombie, so it kind of gives you that information, but while still keeping it tense, because you can't necessarily see it that well.
Yeah, no, the fixed cameras are used for some really good bits of, like, horror.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't necessarily say that this is a scary game. It definitely is if you're a child, which I will say the box does say 15 plus on it, so you shouldn't be playing it as one, but hey never stopped us.
Thanks, Mum and Dad.
But they do use those camera angles for some really good stuff. Like, one of the ones I really like is where you have to kind of walk off screen in order to get to a following part after going into a dead end.
Yeah.
And then instead of snapping to the next fixed camera, the camera kind of hangs there for a bit, and then your character's slowly backing up as the shadow of a zombie that's crawling towards them is like looming over. And it's an incredible way of using the cinematic part of it. Like, they understood that. Well, I will say that obviously the camera angles are really important to the presentation angle of it, but obviously it does come with those kind of fun little hiccups occasionally where you're trying to get around an area and the camera kind of snaps and you sometimes find yourself getting a little disoriented, moving differently to try and reorient yourself, and then going back to the original camera and getting kind of caught in a cycle for a few seconds, which...
Just play the game 80 times. That'll clean that right up.
I would simply memorize every incoming
situation. I will say,
situation.
Connor, just to, get back to it, sometimes when you're playing a game with a normal camera, it gets caught in things.
It does, yeah.
But we haven't abandoned the entire system, have we?
No, I'm not saying that, like, that's the entire reason
Yeah, but they're all thinking it, Connor. They're all thinking it.
I feel like you've got a persecution complex about this.
There is no more oppressed group than people who like old survival horror games, Connor. We have had so much taken from us. Everyone is obsessed with the idea of going back and making those games more boring. They're remaking Fatal Frame 2 again. It's a waste of everyone's time.
Yeah, they're remaking Halo 1 again.
So this is actually a great segue. This reminded me of a point I wanted to make about this game, is that I think this is the most in the classic era Resident Evil that Capcom tried to get away from it being B-movie slop.
Yeah, actually, I think I agree.
Because it feels like this game, with like the visuals and the music, is trying to be more like mature, more reserved, more kind of tasteful, I suppose.
Yeah.
Because it's trying to have this kind of mysterious, foreboding vibe. Whereas the older games, there's still great music, but it's definitely a lot more like B-movie slocky kind of stuff.
Was this the same year as the movie?
It was within the first of the years of the movie, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like to think about the
But
movies.
it's very amusing to consider that I imagine, as for the standards of the time, this was the dark, gritty, edgy Resident Evil reboot. But I guess unlike most games that have dark, gritty, edgy reboots, Bomberman, this actually worked.
Well, because this is a thing that's meant to be gritty.
Yeah.
It's a horror game,
Yeah, and this one, I'm not going to talk about this just yet, but the stuff that's added to this, that kind of really reinforce that tone, what they decide to elaborate on. They don't shy away and get embarrassed by the stuff that is a little shocky about the originals. There are still giant spiders.
Yeah,
There is still a big shark tank.
You still run away from boulders.
Yes, and a snake. And there is a big plant.
A snake still kills your men.
Yeah. Oh, Chris Redfield just can't fucking escape from the snake nightmare, can he?
Losing so many men.
Yeah. I don't think they actually show Yawn killing anyone on Chris's path in this one.
Oh, he doesn't kill Richard, does he?
No, Richard gets killed by the shark,
in
this one.
Bitch. Which is really funny, because that means that, like, in the Jill playthrough, you save Richard, then he helps you out, like, 5 minutes later. And the Chris one, it's like 2 hours pass.
Yeah.
He just shows up like, hey!
He's like, Chris, look out, there's a shark! Oh!
If they do remake Resident Evil 1 again, which I'll be sad if they do, they should call it Resident Evil Kiwami and make the Richard Anywhere system where Richard can be killed in every room in the game.
Yes! That'd be so good!
Like eaten by a spider, crushed by a boulder.
Stung by bees.
Yeah, stung by bees. I think that in terms of like the tone of the game and what I was going to conclude with before we got distracted by Bee Quest is that they really made the Spencer Mansion the Woohoo Island of the 6th generation. Like, it's its own character in a way that I think is really impressive.
I agree with that.
I still kind of oscillate between Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 2 is which one's my favourite, but I still always feel that the location in RE1 is the best the series has ever had. Like, the Spencer Mansion is so iconic. So much more to me than the police station or Spain.
Yeah. See, to me, the Spencer Mansion is a character, but it's a very serious, well-written character that you would expect from, like, a quality, like from the fucking Godfather or something. But
better written than the characters.
But this character, despite taking itself so seriously, is still dressed up like Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Like, you know, costume shop, bright green face paint, Frankenstein. Because the Spencer Mansion is still a spooky house, you know, with weird monsters in it, and
I guess I would say if we were trying to make like a film comparison, it'd be like a genre film. It's like, do you remember that film Don't Breathe?
I heard about it.
The blind guy and they break into his house and it's all about, it's a very, very schlocky, stupid horror premise, but it's presented in such a tasteful way that it kind of gives it more gravitas.
Yeah.
I kind of feel a similar way about this, where it is police force explores dumb mansion full of booby traps.
Yeah.
But they kind of give it such a stylish presentation and feel to it that it feels more important than it actually is.
Yeah, yeah. And that's very, very commendable about it.
Yeah.
In fact, I think you could even tell from the box art how they were trying to take it in this more mature direction, which they maybe...
At the very least in Europe.
Yeah, they overcorrected a bit. Viewers, if you're on YouTube, look at the screen now. Oh, God.
It's not the worst thing I've ever seen.
Okay, yeah, it's not bad, but come on, man.
Do you know what completely tarnishes it?
What?
So the back of the box, I'm sure I'll find a picture of that as well, is a single frame of like a zombie in the darkness coming towards you. There are a bunch of screenshots along the side showing sections from the game, but then at the very bottom, 3 words which strike fear into the heart of people everywhere. The only words on the box describing the game, it just says Pure Terror Cubed.
Do you get it? What do you know what machine this is on? Yo, fuck.
Yeah, when they ported it to the Wii, they had to uncube the horror.
I kind of wanted to briefly allude to something about the game's presentation that's kind of infamous about the original Resident Evil, which is obviously that some people, calling you out chalkly on YouTube, were very upset that we were talking about the remake rather than the original Resident Evil, because obviously the voice acting is, like, iconic.
Get out of here for a second. This is a very important point to make to the audience. We are not gaming scientists who are doing it because we're trying to analyze shit, like, for realsies. We weren't even doing this as a show for the longest time. So I was like, I'm going to make Connor play a Resident Evil game for the third time. I can't be like, we're going to play Resident Evil 1. It's not going to fly. He'll be like, oh, I can't quick turn, and then he'll melt. Like, I got to go in gently. I have to be sneaky about it.
I don't think I've used the quick turn once.
What is wrong with you?
I just move. I just get out of there.
You're sicker. The quick turn is like, I want to be dying doing a quick turn.
I think I used it in Resident Evil 4. Damn.
Dude, the entire right stick is dedicated to quick turning.
Really?
Yeah. Well, the game isn't open right now.
I didn't know why I grabbed my controller.
Yeah, I don't know what you were trying to prove.
It's because we have a screenshot of the game up at the moment. Look, if I press this button, I change the screenshot. Check this out. Yeah.
Wow, it's like you're playing Myst. I hate Chris Redfield. Look at his boxy ass head. What a loser.
He's a real dingus in this one.
Yes.
I kind of like him for that.
Ugh. You and your love for mediocre
I
men.
don't like Chris Redfield, okay? I like him being a...
Connor making an account in every MMO and making Chris Redfield. Just to feel alive.
Well, this is what I do in my spare time.
Yeah, 100%. That's why the videos aren't coming out. He's doing this all day.
Every MMO, I have a different variant.
Yeah.
I gotta make him in Dark Spore, you know?
Dark, shut up, man. It's Dark Spore, get out of here with that shit.
You know what? Maybe Chris Redfield's part of that elite few characters that's funny to imagine in any situation.
Anyway, the voice acting of the PS1 version is fucking incredible.
Yes.
It's so good. I want to bring a particular attention to when you meet Richard after he's been poisoned. When he goes, Jill, I've been poisoned. Ouch!
See, this is the thing, because obviously some of the lines in there are infamous, like, wow, what a mansion, don't open that door, you were almost a Jill sandwich.
You're the master of unlocking.
Yeah.
There's a bit in the original, so I played through the original today so I could remember the differences between the two versions, and there's a bit so basically when you fight Yawn for the second time, the way you progress is that Yawn accidentally bites a hole in the ground for some reason.
Oh.
And then Jill's like, I don't want to go in this hole, and then Barry shows up with a rope. And then because he's like, he's being suspicious, he like drops the rope, and then Barry goes, whoa, I've really done it now. And then runs off, and it's like, damn, dude.
Well, the reason why I bring this up is because I did want to talk about the voice acting in the Resident Evil remake, which, while it is better, it isn't. Like, there are still some lines that are still delivered in a kind of awkward and stilted way. That isn't the Silent Hill 2, but this is like this for a reason. It's just weird sounding in a way I kind of enjoy.
We can also measure the kind of, like, advancements made in video game writing tech, I suppose, by the direct comparison of some of the memeier lines.
Yeah.
In particular. So in the original, Jill is about to be crushed by a collapsing ceiling, and then Barry saves her at the last moment, and he goes, you were almost a Jill sandwich. I don't know why I said that like Dracula, but...
He does sound like that.
Yeah. But in the remake, because we're now mature and cool, and we're all 12 rather than 8, he says instead, 1 more second and you would have fit nicely into a sandwich. So it's like the same dumb line, but he's saying it in a much more understandable way, I guess.
A way that sounds more natural.
Yeah.
But there were 3 lines I wanted to kind of like bring up their delivery because they really made me laugh.
Oh, yeah?
2 of them are from Wesker, and they're from right near the beginning of the game, where one of them is Wesker shooting a zombie, and he just goes, Jill this way.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah,
It's
Wesker's voice actor has trouble with lines with more intensity, I feel.
Another one is when Jill's about to open the door to leave, and rather than, don't open that door from the original, it's just...
Jill, no!
Yeah, it's like, Jill, no. Like that. And it's like, Wesker, do you not have a concept of commas in your speech? The last one I want to mention is there is a puzzle later on in the game in Chris's campaign where Chris walks into a little passage, gets trapped in there for a bit, and you have to solve the puzzle to get out. And Rebecca, who's another side character, is waiting for him on the other side, and she asks him if he's okay. And Chris just responds by going, yeah. And I have to stress, Chris Redfield does not sound anything like this for the rest of the game. It's just that one line where he sounds like a Psychic Pebbles bit, and I don't understand it. It's like, what? Was he getting a cold? Was he about to sneeze? After that point, I implore you, try and find, if you know the scene I'm talking about, get to rewatch that cutscene. He sounds like that. He sounds throaty. Why? I just had to mention it because in a way I feel like, as you rightfully say, this game is trying to take itself more seriously. It's trying to go for that kind of more mature tone. But I think some of its weird eccentricities of early game design and early game voice acting still bleed through in a way that's oddly faithful.
Yes.
And, it's passable enough that people who think that the original is unbearable can probably keep up with it and are fine with it, but it's still dumb.
It's funny because it's like they took another crack at it, but it was still video game voice acting in 2002.
Exactly.
Last year, Final Fantasy X had blown us all away, and you couldn't get the best.
No. Do we want to talk about the gameplay?
Oh, we're so good at this. We are so good.
You previously alluded to the idea of tank controls.
All right, fellas. Friends, countrymen, beloved.
I will lend you my ears.
This is a fucking
Yes.
The camera's in the place, you can't move it.
Oh.
And your guy goes, bloop, 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 and you pick up 1 herb, and you go, wow. Okay, I'm not going to insult your intelligence.
Right.
You and the audience. You know what this is. It's a survival horror game. You're in a big map, interconnected, puzzles everywhere, monsters draining your resources. The classics. Mm-hmm. I think this is very similar to when we talk about Spyro 2, and we're not going to be so you go through levels collecting gems.
Yes, yeah.
We're going to talk about what makes these individual ones unique.
Yeah.
So what I would say about the unique gameplay mechanics of Resident Evil 1, the remake, are the introduction of defensive items and Crimson Heads as a zombie enemy type.
Mm-hmm.
So defensive items are a very, very lovely addition to the gameplay formula because in the typical Resident Evil style, the way that enemies damage you, or particularly zombies I should say, is that they tend to grab you, then dealing damage that you can't escape from. unless you have a defensive item, which comes in the form of a knife, grenades for Chris, and stun guns for Jill. By default, you will stab a zombie or repel it immediately if you have an item equipped, but you can change it to manual if you want to have more control over it.
Yeah.
But what it'll do is you'll stab into the zombie, you'll get it off you, you'll take no damage, but you'll have lost that item forever. It has a limited use. I feel like I'm going crazy talking about this.
No, I was going to say, because these items really help to encourage and actually help you with one of the key things it's trying to teach you, which is that enemies are to be avoided more than confronted directly.
Yeah.
I mean, if you get to a point where you have a lot of ammunition on you and you don't feel like you're going to take it into later in the game, like with the handgun, then sometimes it's helpful to try and deal with certain enemies and clear some pathways that you're going to be going through a lot. But I think generally speaking, you're trying to get out of the way of these things, and if you really do slip up, a defensive item's a great way to just give you a second chance.
Well, I think the best thing it does for the balance of these kind of games is that it does kind of embolden you. Because I played through the PS1 version of the game earlier today, and what I noticed immediately is because it's altogether harder to dodge zombies in that game, and it's also not possible to get defensive items. So I felt like I had to kill every zombie, and I wasn't willing to take risks because it would usually result in taking damage. Whereas in the remake, because you have a way of mitigating damage if you are caught, you feel like you're able to take more risks or to take more creative solutions to getting around problems. Because you're like, if I get caught, I can just stab it and I'll be fine.
Yeah.
So I think they're a very, very successful change to the general setup of these kind of games.
Yes. Well, what happens if you don't heed this advice and you start to go willy-nilly and gun down every zombie in sight?
Well, you see, Connor, in this particular version of the game, you'll kill a zombie and you'll say, oh, thank God, the problem solved. All is well. You'll then leave the room, maybe do some exploring, maybe do some puzzle solving. You'll come back, zombie's still there. It hasn't despawned, it's on the ground. What's that about? Is that just a cool gameplay or a cool technical thing to show off the power of the Gamecube? It is not, my friend. Because in this version of the game, any zombie who has been killed but not beheaded will eventually come back as a Crimson Head, a much more powerful, a much quicker, a much more frightening enemy, which, if you don't plan your route through the magic carefully, managing a kind of resource which is a lighter oil which you can use to burn the bodies, you can find yourself very quickly swamped by a horde of much more advanced super zombies who will end your run much more quicker than their weaker counterparts.
Yeah, and the lighter oil is also a sparse resource.
Yes, very sparse.
Like there was more occurrences of them in the game than I had really expected, because I only really use lighter oil very early on to cover the safe rooms there.
Yes, that's always the tactic.
Admittedly, the fact that Crimson Heads come back and are significantly harder to deal with and will probably kill you, as they had done to me before, then you do need to kind of go, on second thought, maybe I won't kill every fucking zombie around. Yeah. You might run into a couple lucky instances where you can permanently get rid of zombies, which usually involve removing their entire head.
Yeah, so it's actually applicable to both these gameplay innovations we've discussed, is that when you stab a zombie in the head with a dagger, the dagger actually remains in their head.
Oh.
And if you blast their head off, you get the dagger back.
Oh, really?
And also, if you blast their head off, no Crimson Head.
Yes, that's kind of
there
why...
ain't no head.
Exactly, they can't come back after that.
Yeah.
And there are a few ways you can do it. The dagger's a good point. Chris's grenades, he just shoves the grenade into their mouth and it blows up in their heads.
There's also a rare occurrence where if a zombie's on the ground but not dead, and you walk over it in a certain way, it will grab your feet and bite you, and then Jill or Chris will burst their head off with their foot, and that also removes them from the Crimson Head pool.
Which is a potential option. The shotgun will also do it, but shotgun rounds are...
It doesn't always do it either.
No.
You can shoot... It has so every gun in the game has a chance of popping a zombie's head, even the pistol does sometimes, but the shotgun has a much higher chance. It's not 100%, but it is higher.
Yeah. Because something to note as well about this that's quite different to Resident Evil 2 Remake and Resident Evil 4 is that where you precisely aim isn't necessarily important.
No.
Because this is one of those games where it's kind of more of a dice roll to see how likely you are to kill a zombie with that hit of the gun. It gets more likely as it goes along. Obviously, more powerful weapons are going to drain that health pool way faster, but sometimes a zombie can be downed in a few shots, and sometimes it might take an entire magazine.
To go back to a previous point I've made about survival horror games, the fighting of enemies is more about how much of your resources they drain from you, rather than the actual act of fighting them. Because fighting them is just standing in a spot and going pew, pew, pew.
Yeah.
But you think to yourself, that was 9 bullets. Fuck.
Yeah. Combat is still an element of this game, but it is not the focus, and resource management might even be considered the actual pillar that is disguised as combat.
Yeah, in my book, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
That is the function of combat, is to waste your resources.
I suppose the other two pillars I would say, personally, just from this replay that I can identify, is puzzles and exploration.
Yeah.
And to me, I think exploration is like the biggest one, because it feeds directly into like the puzzles and how you solve them. And there's also like combat is there to provide context to those bits of exploration. Same with the puzzles as well.
I think they all feed into one another. You want to get to the end of the game, holding on to as many of your resources as you can. To be good at this game, it's about being able to manage your resources as expertly as possible.
Yeah.
And the problem is that you have to explore the mansion, you have to navigate the mansion to get to the puzzles, whilst going through all the corridors that have the enemies in.
Yeah.
So what you want to end up doing, and what becomes the satisfying kind of mental arithmetic of the game, is you have to figure out the best way to move through each floor of the mansion to get to each part of the puzzles while fighting or avoiding or doing anything you can with the enemies to mitigate their impact on your resources.
Yeah.
So when you get good at the game, and when you have the layout kind of down pat, you can think of more effective ways to route around enemies to get to all the various areas you have to go to. But when you're bad at the game or new to the game, it becomes this big mystery, you know, where the mansion is unknowable and eldritch and kind of threatening. But then you eventually learn to master it to get through it as quickly as possible, and that's what makes it so satisfying, you know? And I think the great coup de grace of the remake is that the mansion is so intricate. Like, so many of the rooms connect to each other in interesting ways. You can open up all these really interesting shortcuts. You can take risks with certain elements, like doors that have broken doorknobs that might disintegrate if you use them too much.
Yeah.
There's a really famous corridor from the first version, which is the dog corridor.
Yeah.
Where it's this kind of this right angle bend around one of the wings of the mansion. Or in the original, as you go through it, you're suddenly attacked by two dogs, burst through the windows. In the remake, however, when you go down that corridor, some of the glass in the window breaks, but no dogs come through. And they only come back through if you go back the other way to trick you if you play the original. But if you know that, you can know to never go through that corridor, so they never spawn. I have not seen those dogs in years.
I also realised we didn't give the appropriate context of when we played this on the list. You mentioned about the chronology, but the last time that I played this was in 2021. In the summer of 2021, which is when we did our Jill playthrough together, and that was my first time ever playing this game.
And your third Resident Evil game overall.
Yes, yeah. So, revisiting it 5 years later and playing the Chris campaign, there was a lot of stuff that I kind of forgot about. Shockingly, I should have known about that dog corridor, but I just got too preoccupied with trying to solve the puzzles and exploration parts where I was, that I just was like, I just want to get to my safe room as quickly as possible, went back through the dog corridor and got dogged. But yeah, I would also want to briefly mention about puzzles, because
They got them.
As you say, all three of these elements kind of like interweave into each other quite naturally. So it's a little difficult for me to ascertain where the exploration point stops and the puzzle part kind of begins. Because a lot of the time, some puzzles are as simple as, just go over here and get that thing and bring it back to the other thing.
Yeah, it's a great point to make, because, like, in contrast to something like Silent Hill for instance, Silent Hill is much more cerebral, it has a lot more solve my riddles free, whereas Resident Evil is like, I got a battery, I'm gonna put it in the elevator to use the elevator.
Yeah.
And, like, the most complicated they get is, like, can you assign 3 colors to 3 numbers using these billiard balls? Yes. Okay. Or this incredible section where you have to create the chemical to use on plants, not that chemical to use on plants.
A different chemical to use on plants.
And the puzzle is, you have to, there's a formula on the wall and it's like 1 + 4 = 7, 7 + 3 = 10, and I'm there like, what could it mean?
Oh.
So they aren't brain teasers, I wouldn't say. They more kind of test your knowledge of the layout of the mansion and your ability to explore it thoroughly, I suppose.
Yeah, so in a way, the puzzles are just an extension of the exploration. But
but they've got their own character.
They do, definitely. And I think that some of them are more successful than others of being, like, appropriate puzzles in that regard. Some of them are the exact kind of puzzles that I absolutely adore. The ones that are, like, self-contained to one room, and they're things that are universal concepts you can immediately latch onto. It has a colour puzzle with lights. I love colour puzzles. Hell fucking yeah, give me a puzzle where you make red and blue come together and it makes purple.
That puzzle in RE4 where you spin the orb.
Yeah.
Those shapes match so good.
What if you flip around some paintings and it makes an order and then it changes into a different painting and it opens a door? Yeah. Fucking sick,
Classic
mate.
scenes.
But there are a few others that involve a pretty interesting mechanic in your inventory when you pick up items, which is examine and combine.
Yeah.
These are pretty interesting because at first you would think that examine is just a way to like look at a very pretty 3D model of the object that you just picked up and it's like, oh, look at this, isn't that kind of cool? But there are a few items where you do want to examine and inspect an object in order to find out something about it that's different.
Yeah.
In some cases it might be a box and by examining it you will open the box and get the thing inside.
Yeah.
But
same with some books.
Yeah. But in other cases it might be that you pick up a brooch or an emblem and then sure enough by pressing a button in it, a key pops out and that key will unlock a door later in the room. And then there's combine, which is primarily used realistically to reload your guns and to mix herbs together.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. But there are some puzzles where you need to take two objects and mash them together in order to make the desired object you'll need somewhere else in the mansion.
So true, so true.
That being said...
Ah, here it comes.
Not all of these are hits.
What do you know? What do you mean?
I think some of them kind of try to use this element of the game maybe a little bit superfluously.
You don't love looking at the imitation of armor key to get the full armor key?
Now, the imitation of armor key, I'm happy to give this a pass because I think it leads to a very funny little set piece.
Yeah.
Where the idea is that there are 4 keys in the mansion that are themed after different parts of a knight. The sword, the helmet, the armor, and the shield. And one of those keys is inside of a big corridor with like a spiky statue in the end of it. Yeah. And the idea is that if you take the key out of the slot, it does an Indiana Jones turns into a thin corridor, and a big spiked shield being held by a statue starts spinning and coming
really
towards you.
slowly.
So you need to put the fucking key back so you don't die.
But you gotta get the imitation of armor key by obtaining a dog whistle, going to a particular spot, blowing it, killing the 2 dogs that appear, and then in their collar is the imitation button, and then you examine the imitation button and it turns into the imitation key.
Yeah. So, a lot of the ways that I kind of found I had to navigate this game, because I did my damnedest to not follow a guide as much as possible.
Yeah.
And when we played it together, I was trying to,
I was the guide.
I was trying to be like, alright, Ash, I need as little backseating as possible. Yeah. I want to try and solve these riddles.
He was so bad.
He
wasn't. I'm being silly.
I think the way that ultimately you have to end up trying to solve a lot of these puzzles is to basically, 1, look at the items that you've picked up in the mansion so far, and be like, okay, this item surely has a use. I need to find the place that this can be used, and this will surely take me to the next spot. And the other one is checking your map, because your map helpfully indicates that if there are still objects in a room that you need to pick up, it'll display as red.
It's very, very helpful.
Yeah, and as soon as it's cleared, it's completely grey again.
People think that's the thing they did in the new remakes, but no, that was there in Resident Evil 2, I think. I think it was that early.
Oh, really?
It's definitely in Code Veronica, I think. If I'm completely wrong, then fair enough, but it was much earlier than people thought it was.
It's at least as early as Code Veronica.
Yeah.
But as a result, the map becomes this thing I had to rely on a lot, and it would have been nice if some of those rooms got labelled. Because I remember checking a memo and it said something about how, there's a painting in the art room, and I was thinking to myself, oh my god, which one's the fucking art room? There's so much art everywhere in this fucking mansion. Is this an art room, or is it just a history room? Or is it an observatory? Or is this a space with, numerous weird statues and books next to a fireplace? I can't tell. I'm not a noble. I wasn't raised to understand these layouts. But it does lead me into a little bit of a ramble about one puzzle that actually fucking made me go insane on the replay. Because honestly, knowing how this game roughly went from 5 years ago fucked me hard.
Oh, I see.
It made me misunderstand the mechanics of the game.
Okay.
This was the piano.
Oh, the piano.
Now, hear me out, okay?
Yeah, lay on me.
As I said, the way that I ended up having to rely on the puzzles in this game is by following the map and by looking at the items that I had. Do you get it now?
Yeah.
So
you're so stupid.
So I was getting a bit stuck at this point. I'd done about as much as I could reasonably do in the rest of the mansion. I wasn't really sure where to go next. And I thought to myself,
Had you used the armor key in all the places it could be used, so there was no more armor key fun to be had?
Yeah, I used the armor key, I'd used the sword key everywhere. Admittedly, like, there would be moments where I'd kind of forget about a certain space and then go back and be like, oh fuck yeah, I can go into this now.
Yeah.
And that did eventually become part of the piano puzzle. Because one thing I also knew, given that this was the Chris playthrough, I knew that Jill can play the piano just fine. Chris can't. I knew that Rebecca was needed.
Yeah, but she's not very good at it.
She's not very good at it.
Which is one of my favourite parts of Chris's playthrough is when... Because you have to leave Rebecca to go do it for like a few minutes.
Yeah.
And as you're going through the rooms, you can hear her fucking it up in the distance.
Yeah. It's great.
Yeah, it's really funny.
Like, I really like that bit. But before then, I was trying to figure out, okay, how do I get Rebecca into this fucking room?
Yeah.
Because I've got Chris at the piano, he's not doing anything, he's just staring at it gormlessly, just looking at, like, the ivory keys and going, oh.
So I'm guessing you had the music notes.
I had the music notes.
Yeah. Did you have the music sheet?
I had the page.
Did you get it from the music room or from upstairs?
I got it from the weird little room where you have to cardio around, like a table for a while.
So you missed the music note that's in the actual piano room.
Yes, and I'll tell you why. Because I knew there was a secret passage in there that would open up as soon as the piano played, and I looked at the map and I saw.
Yeah, because you thought it was because you hadn't got the emblem.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, it was red. There's a square and there's a little shooty off bit, and I thought, well, the shooty off bit surely the secret passage, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, what am I missing? What's going on? I wander around the piano room for a while, and I basically make him constantly inspect the bar, and he's looking at, like, bottles of alcohol, and it's like, no, Chris, no, it's not Resident Evil 6, it's not time for you to get drunk yet.
You put a picture of me disappointed on your phone, and it propped it up in front of you.
So I try using the music sheet, and Chris refuses to use the music sheet.
Yeah.
It just says, it's not possible to use this now. It's like, what do you mean? It's a piano, Chris, try and keep up. Just play some notes, man. Just draw Rebecca into the fucking room or something. Yeah. So I thought, oh, hold on a minute. Maybe I need to bring the piano sheet to Rebecca, because that's some adventure game logic I could wrap my head around. So I wander through the corridors. I go around.
Rebecca is different from Barry because you can find her in a room and she's just sitting in there, isn't she?
Yeah, she's looking after Richard.
Yeah, in the serum room.
In the serum room. So I wander through the corridors, dodging the zombies. I go back to Rebecca. She's just watching over Richard, and I try to approach her, being like, "Hey, Jill. Jill? You're not Jill. You're Rebecca. Hey, Rebecca. I need you to play the piano." And she just goes, "Oh, Chris, do you want me to heal your wounds?" I'm like, "No, Rebecca. Now's not the time. I'm the perfect spitting image of health right now. I need you to play the piano." And she won't respond to me. I have now become Chris Redfield. And so I'm like, what the fuck is happening? What's going on? Maybe I need to get rid of these medical use interaction things in order to get her.
You burnt healing on.
Yeah, so I did. I said to her, yeah, just heal me, whatever. Burnt through all of the free heals you get from Rebecca, and then going up to her, and I was like, maybe I'll get a unique piece of dialogue where I can ask her about the piano room now because I have the piano sheet in my inventory. And she just stares at me and just goes, "Oh, Richard will be okay." And I'm just like, stop looking at Richard. He's not going anywhere.
He's going to be in a shark's gullet in 2 hours.
Rebecca, play the piano, Rebecca. And it turned out,
what's up?
That little sticky out bit, it wasn't the secret passage at all. The map doesn't show the secret passage, which kind of makes sense.
It's secret.
Because it's a secret. And so I then eventually discovered that, oh no, wait, there is a little sticky out bit.
Yeah. Oh, and there's a weirdly 3D rendered bookcase back there.
And then I had to push the bookcase to get the rest of the piano sheet. And that had to be combined. And you want to know the best part about this? The thing that sends my fucking little autistic brain crazy, Ash?
What's up?
Is that I'm like, oh, I get it. It needs to be the full version of Moonlight Sonata so she can play the full version of Moonlight Sonata from beginning to end in order to unlock the wall. That makes total sense. And then she starts playing it. And guess what? She doesn't start from the beginning of Moonlight fucking Sonata. She starts like a bar and a half in. And it's like, what? And then I take a plane and I fly all the way to Japan and I find the designer of Resident Evil and I go into his house and I strangle him and I go, "Why did you make it like this? Why did you do it like this? Why did you not have an open sheet in front of the piano?" And Chris could look at it and go, "A page has been ripped out of this sheet. Maybe that's important to this room." And then that would have made way more sense in my little mind to be able to add that up together, and I'm...
You just gotta explore the space better, man.
I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill Chris Redfield.
I've always liked to think that, because it's the music sheets and the music notes, I always like to think that the music notes is just the title of the song. And the character is just like, I don't know, this song's cool, I can't play it. Because you're right, they only play like 10 seconds of the song.
Yeah, they do. Because Moonlight Sonata is like, like a 3-minute bit.
Yeah.
But it isn't, they don't play for that long. I thought the point of it was like, oh, right, it's like a small segment of Moonlight Sonata that's important to the puzzle. But that's like, I also got stuck earlier today trying to figure out where to go to get to the tunnels. And I didn't realize that I needed to use the crank again.
See, so this is actually the one puzzle in the game that I will give criticism of.
Mm-hmm.
You go through the first half of the mansion, because there are, like, levels, I guess.
Yeah.
But one of the levels is a grounds house, like a groundskeeper house.
Yeah.
For the staff that's kind of attached to the mansion, but you have to go outside to get to.
Yeah.
And one of the little puzzle sections here is there's a crank you get, which you have to crank in this little lever to raise a water barrier so you can go across this pool and get to the residence. However, doing this makes the water be redirected to block a tunnel that you need access to. And the way you have to solve that puzzle later down the line is you have to get a battery from the mansion when you go back after going to the groundskeeper's place. You have to go back to the residence after going back to the mansion, put the battery in a random hole in the side of a wall. That activates an elevator that then goes back to the start of the outside area, and then use the crank to lower the water again so you can go back and go through that tunnel that's now blocked.
Yeah.
I feel, especially during the course of a normal playthrough in which, for one, it'll be taking longer anyway because you're a novice player, and two, you probably aren't playing it in one full sitting, so it's been a few weeks or a few days since you last played.
Yeah.
It's very easy to forget that little hole where the battery goes, and you can get, like, completely perma-lost just wandering around, because there's no, like, note that says, I had to use the battery to stop the itchy boy from killing me dead. Like, you just have to, like, remember that that's fucking there.
Yeah. You see, I can see a little bit of the reasoning in the design, where the designers probably went, waterfalls, every secret in a video game is behind a waterfall.
Yeah.
But it's been 25 fucking years since this game came out, and, like, game level design tropes, their communication for them has changed. So I didn't think about that.
Yeah. You know what's crazy about it?
What?
In the original, when you pick up the battery, Jill goes, oh, this might be for the elevator outside.
Oh, so then you've actually got that context. Yeah, that's the thing, because I understand, obviously, if you play this game a lot, you'll memorize this layout and this route, and it all just becomes completely natural to you.
Yeah.
But in the time, I was trying to keep track of every single location, every room, especially considering that these aren't labeled, so I had to try and remember distinctly, alright, that one's the fucking plant room, I don't need to bother with that.
Yeah.
That one's the corridor with the dagger, that's this is that. And as a result, I just had, like, a terrible time trying to figure out what I needed to do with that waterfall. I don't know if there was a memo where fucking Andrew Trevor, or whatever he's called, says, oh, I designed a secret passage behind the waterfall. I don't know if that was there and I missed it, and that might have been the game changer, but that I
don't think there is.
I was stuck on that all fucking morning, where I was like, where the fuck do I go?
I kind of have a story of my own that's kind of, well, it is related. Because, like, I first played this game in, like, 2008.
Yeah.
So I acquired the Wii copy of the Wii version of the Resident Evil remake. And then played it a few times, was terrified, got through it, but it was very difficult for me. And then in, like, 2013, I then acquired the Gamecube version and played through that. And that was my second time, and it was 5 years after I first played it, so it was a complete mirror for your experience.
Yeah.
I got so fucking stuck on that battery path. Because I just forgot about that section of the map.
Yeah.
I didn't think I'd ever have to go back there.
You would, right?
Yeah.
Because, like, especially considering that your fixed camera, it's from the facing perspective of that part of the map, and there's, like, an enemy that you're going to obviously try to avoid. So you would just use it as a throughway.
Yeah.
Like, as far as I was concerned, I just remembered that as that one spot where there is a herb on the other end. I didn't even think about the broken elevator.
Yeah.
I think, to be fair, I think it's kind of a good reflection on this game that the main level design hiccup we can give it to it is, like, one very forgettable spot.
Yeah.
Right?
I think when you're dealing with a level of this complexity and when it's being this esoteric, some of the puzzles are going to get you, right? Like, maybe for other people it'll be different parts that will throw them off. Maybe it'll be the billiards puzzle or, like, the weird eagle statue or whatever, or if you get stuck on that dynamic.
Shall we talk a little bit about the general level structure, I suppose you would call it?
Yeah.
Because we've kind of jumped a bit to talk about specific puzzles and sort of areas in the game, but there's a kind of, like, loose order that you kind of go through this place in.
Yeah.
The opening parts of this game, that little sweet opening cutscene, where
Not as good as the live-action video from the PS1 version.
yeah, original Wesker, Jill, Chris, and Barry.
But Rebecca's in that footage too.
Is she?
She's tying a headband on.
Oh, yeah, I forgot she originally had a headband.
Yeah.
I bet that's like an Aliens reference. But
I guess so, yeah.
but the idea is that they're trying to inspect what happened to Bravo team. They come across a corpse inside of a broken helicopter, and then they suddenly get attacked by dogs.
Yeah.
Wesker's able to save Jill from getting sharply attacked, and the four...
What a nice guy.
What a nice man. He's going to be a reliable member of the team.
What a lovely man. Dude, could you imagine an alternate timeline where Wesker was always... He doesn't become a villain, and he's just showing up in, like, Resident Evil Code Veronica being like, hello, Chris. And he's still wearing the fucking sunglasses and shit.
Well, you see, I like to imagine that there's a secret fifth member of S.T.A.R.S that's with these guys, which is your little mascot companion that draws the maps for you as you're going along.
The secret fifth member. There are 5 members.
Okay, the secret sixth... The game decides one of them doesn't exist each playthrough.
I don't know where... Well, actually, it's not true. I know exactly where Rebecca comes from. Because of Resident Evil 0. Even if it makes no fucking goddamn sense.
Well, when you play the Chris playthrough, like, that opening...
Barry just vanishes.
Yeah, that opening CG cutscene shows Barry, Wesker, Chris, and Jill rushing into the mansion door, and Barry just disappears.
And they fades out of the timeline.
And Chris just says out loud, "We don't know where Barry went." And it's like, did you fucking turn around and shoot him in the head and let him get eaten by dogs? What the
Sorry,
fuck? Sorry,
Barry. This isn't your playthrough.
Whereas at least with Jill, all 4 of them are there, right?
I want to make a point to Dr. White specifically. The reason why you shouldn't care about the Resident Evil timeline is because no ending in this game can possibly have both Barry and Rebecca surviving. But Capcom goes, no, they're both dead. Don't worry about it. Even though it makes no sense, they're both fine.
Well, it's like Jill says if you don't rescue Chris, where she says, "I just know he's alive." Somewhere.
Crawling out of the ruins of the Spencer Mansion.
With his newfound boulder strength.
Yeah, that's how he got ripped.
Yeah.
He was bench pressing the Tyrant for days.
Do you think he has a workout playlist that has like the Resident Evil 2 credits music in it? As he's like bench pressing different monsters, punching through the... Honest to God, the funniest thing about this remake is the fact you can play as Resident Evil 5's models for Jill and for Chris. Yeah. And the idea of Resident Evil 5 Chris in this space is fucking hysterical to me.
Like, door is locked. Oh, punch through it.
Yeah, he would fucking like rip that clock open and pull the key out. He would pick up the fucking like the mutant frog guys and chuck them back out the window.
He would Final Fantasy VI suplex the Spencer Mansion.
He would. What a king. What a king.
No, do not support Chris Redfield and his endeavors. I wish for his demise. Take him away.
But the idea is that once the story gets started, the gang decides to split up and look for clues like a bunch of Scooby-Doo characters. And that's when the survival horror begins. Your first encounter with a zombie.
We've got to talk about it, though. We've got to talk about it for a quick second. Because what happens is that they're all running through the doors, and then, depending on whatever character you've chosen, only 3 of them make it into the actual foyer.
Yeah.
And what we are expected to believe, Connor, in this world of madness, is that apparently at some point, Albert Wesker went back and kidnapped Chris or Jill and put them in jail.
Yeah.
And it's like, when did he do this? How did he get to the lab?
He found a little trap door underneath the foyer and went through his secret tunnels.
It's like when people make really hard Mario Maker levels, but they can't beat them themselves, so they have to put the shortcut in the level to get to the end so they can upload it.
See, I think this game would have been a lot better if they pulled the mask off of Lisa and it turned out she was Albert Wesker. And I would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for you meddling stars.
Kind of sounded like a bit like Richard Nixon at the end there.
I'm not a crook. So, as hysterical as this opening is, it does lead into the very atmospheric, sort of immediate opening parts of the mansion, which is you learning its immediate outline, and also discovering how many doors require themed keys in order to open them with. But it has a few pretty decent sort of like opening encounters where it's like, here's your first zombie. Get the fuck out of there. You ain't even got a gun yet, stupid.
Yeah, you do.
When you face the first zombie?
Yeah, it's in your inventory.
Not as Chris.
Chris sucks.
Yeah, Chris doesn't have one. He has to go back into the foyer where Jill and Wesker have disappeared and it's just a gun on the floor.
Really?
Yeah.
That's really tough.
So he picks up the gun.
When you're playing as Jill, you go back and Barry just shoots it for you.
Yeah, right, of course he does. See, this is the funny thing to me, because I feel like for most differences between Chris and Jill's playthroughs, Jill feels the most like this is the easier character, play this character to learn the game. But at the same time, I feel like Chris not having a gun is teaching you one of the most important lessons about Resident Evil, which is don't immediately fight everything you see.
I mean, I think the difficulty between the two characters does get muddled a little bit in the remake. I think they kind of, like, have their downsides and upsides, honestly. Like, Chris is easier in some ways, and Jill is harder in others, and so on and so forth. I wouldn't necessarily say you have to play as Jill first to have an easier time.
No, but I think that one of the key things about Jill is
One
her...
of the key things about Jill.
Is her lockpick. Is that how she gets through old doors, like old key doors? What's it called? Old keys?
Yeah.
Yes. Those weird doors that require old keys. She doesn't need old keys. She can just go through them.
That's fantastic.
But the second thing is that she has 2 extra inventory slots, and it legitimately makes so much of a fucking difference.
And the grenade launcher.
Shit. The grenade launcher, yeah.
Jill, one of the ways she's different from Chris is that she has the Barry Anywhere system, in which there are several, like, traps or rooms in the mansion in which Barry can help you, but in any one playthrough, you can only benefit from 2.
Yeah.
And so I guess you could technically play it in such a way in which you don't benefit from this, but it's kind of hard to, because, like, you go through one corridor to get the sword key, and then you go back and go through another corridor, which then leads to the shotgun, so it's very easy to do that kind of first thing throughout the run.
The infamous Jill sandwich room.
It's kind of a shame because the way you're meant to do it, and I presume the way you do it with Chris, is that basically the shotgun is mounted on the wall, and then when you pick it up, these, like, hooks raise up into the ceiling and click.
Yeah.
And then when you go back through this, like, interstitial room to get back to where you're going, the ceiling begins to come down and crushes you.
Yeah.
When you're playing as Jill, though, if you have Barry available, Barry's got charge, he will just pull you out from the room at the very last second and go, you were almost a Jill sandwich.
Yeah.
And then the shotgun is yours with no downsides. Because you're meant to go get a broken shotgun from another room and put it back to replace it. But in most playthroughs of Jill, it doesn't really end up working out that way.
No.
Because, like, the other 2 ways he helps you that I can think of is that in the room with the wasps, he's in there with a note and he goes, these wasps seem important. And then when you go get the grenade launcher from Forrest's corpse on the first floor balcony, he's in there, and him being there means Forrest doesn't resurrect as a zombie while you're in that room. He's killed me.
Oh no, Barry!
Barry's coming out of me.
Barry's betrayed us!
And like, having him get you the shotgun earlier is so much better utility than him being in a room reading a wasp note. Like, so why would you ever not benefit from that?
Or picking up a grenade launcher for you and going, this might help you.
Pretty cool. Dude, in the original, when he gives you that, he goes, you haven't got a weapon? And I'm like, what do you think this is, Barry?
Oh my god, that's the other line from the original. It's a weapon. It's extremely powerful against living things. Which is
classic scenes.
And the irony is that you spend most of the game fighting non-living things, so...
It's unclear with the snakes and the spiders, though.
No.
Because, alright, here's the weird thing about the T-virus. It isn't meant to make zombies.
No, it's not.
That's just like a really unfortunate side effect.
Well, they were like, oh, shit.
Well, I guess this could be useful. We'll have to gather combat data.
If we use our bioterror on a local cemetery, I suppose. And we can have the little Michael Jackson Thriller dance together. Do you think that was Wesker's end goal?
Yeah.
Yeah, he wanted to recreate Thriller with himself.
Wesker's end goal is stupid.
It's complete global saturation of what is there to miss, Sash.
But it's, like, entirely not set up until RE5. Like, they just invent that he wants that for RE5.
Because they realized he was a cartoon villain.
Yeah.
And they went, well, we have to make our main villain cool somehow.
I think it's because someone got in their heads that they were going to do, like a marketing coup of being, like, the end of the Resident Evil timeline. And then they looked at the Resident Evil story and went, we haven't been telling a fucking story. We've got one city that got blew up. We've got a dumb island that got blown up. We have Spain. We can't go back there.
I mean, they tried to push that twice. They do it for 6 as well.
It makes no sense.
It is like, what the fuck do we have left by 6?
They're like all the timelines are converging. Everyone hates Ada Wong. That's what it's all been leading up to, apparently.
Do Chris and Ada 1 meet once before Resident Evil 6?
No, not at all.
The,
That's why they have to have the scene where she kills his men.
so that they can
have
make up a reason.
Yeah, it's a complete clusterfuck. No, the Resident Evil story is stupid. They fucking in Resident Evil 7, they put out a toy that revealed the presence of Blue Umbrella, the new Umbrella, but they're good. And then Blue Umbrella just stopped being relevant the next game. It's like, what are we talking about?
I thought Blue Umbrella became evil.
Oh, it's really stupid because Blue Umbrella become evil and Chris is working with them, but then also the BSAA from 5 becomes double evil. It's like you rock up to satellites strike the village at the end of Village, and then the BSA show up and they're using evil bug soldiers, and Chris is like, damn, they got to them too. And it's like, Chris, what have you been doing, my man?
He's the worst anti-bioterror agent in the world.
It's also the lamest part of Resident Evil Village's story, apart from all the other lamer parts, where you go to the evil mold queen's lair and you find a note that's from Oswell where he's like, your ideas really inspired me to start my own evil science company.
These motherfuckers just sit in their fucking, like, volcano island layers that you'd find in a 50s pulp comic.
But dude, the fucking volcano in RE5 is just there.
Yeah.
It's like they just crash on it by accident. So what I think is kind of what is kind of this game's strength relative to other Resident Evil games and other survival horror games is that I feel like in the later Resident Evil survival horror games, they're more level-based, I guess. They feel more sequential.
Yeah.
I would say that in Resident Evil 2, it's kind of like, you go to the police station, then you go to the underground parking lot, then you go to the sewers, then you go to the lab. Where I feel like in this game, the Spencer Mansion is the central location.
Yeah.
And you're just going off to different bits of it and then coming back to the mansion to do more puzzle solving.
Yes.
I like how the entrance to the lab is literally in the foyer of the mansion. The way it all swings back around makes it such a memorable place to be in. Because you're always coming back to the same areas even throughout the entire game.
Yeah.
Because I don't like how in Resident Evil 2 or in Resident Evil 3, like you get on a train and go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I was still in this big space that was unraveling the more I got into it, you know?
This is just a really cool part of the game.
Yeah.
I really think so. Like the way that it gives you opportunities to get around like hidden paths and like safer routes that actually become more dangerous later on.
Yeah.
So you have to relearn this layout when you get into the second phase of the mansion. I say that like it's a Final Fantasy boss. And also just stuff like the graveyard and like that dog corridor. That's where it's in this part of the game. There's just like a lot of really good bits here. I mean, it's got a lot of those classical haunted mansion sort of traps as well. The weird night room where they gas you if you get the fucking puzzle wrong.
Listen, top right, bottom left, bottom right, top left.
That's how you do it in one go?
That's all you need, baby. That's all you need.
Damn, okay.
I haven't even got to push them all, because when you push the third one, it makes the fourth one go in.
There you go. I think this is kind of where the mansion feels at its most threatening, when all of these threats are immediately new and you don't have a great arsenal to deal with these things.
Yeah.
Like, your bullets are quite scarce for your gun. While you might be able to take down a zombie, that's one, a grave mistake for later, and two, it's going to put you in a lot more difficulties as you try to get through the rest of this early section.
Yeah. The impetus of Mansion 1 is basically you have to gather the 4 death masks, which my friends love to say to me.
It's because you used to talk to us about it all the time. You'd
Not
be like,
all the time.
You used to give us the rundown exactly of how you get all 4 death masks.
It's just amazing I have any friends, isn't it? God. Alright, so you must get the golden arrow. You must disconnect it from the arrowhead and then put the arrowhead in this little statue in the graveyard, and it will reveal a secret stairway which leads to the Doom Room. Where there's basically like a tombstone in the middle of this room, and then these 4 statues with like faces on them, and you have to get the 4 death masks to put onto the statues, and every time there's like a coffin suspended in the sky by 4 chains, and every time you put a death mask on one of their faces, one of the chains break and blood pours out of it. And then when you get all 4, what's in there is a Crimson Head. That's kind of like the introduction to Crimson Heads. Kind of, you can see some earlier, but it's generally at this point. You kill him and you get a fucking little brooch, and you can put it in a door, and that lets you get outside to the gardens.
The Crimson Head is kind of a fun little boss fight because it's kind of tense. It's the fastest moving enemy in the game besides the dog so far.
Yeah.
And it's quite tough as well.
Yeah, he takes a few shotgun blasts.
Yeah, that is definitely the boss where you have to be like, okay, I'm not bringing a pistol into this. I'm bringing a shotgun to kill whatever the hell is inside of that
On
coffin.
the Jill playthrough, you get the regular shotgun, never shoot it, then you get the assault shotgun from Richard when he dies to Yawn, and then you use the 6 bullets of the old shotgun on that guy.
There you go. That's how you optimize your ammo count, eh?
Yeah.
That's good stuff. But I think I just kind of like it thematically because it's that perfect match of the weird campy, pulpy side of this sort of like horror setting.
Like he's like in a coffin with his arms folded.
Yeah.
And then like the door comes down behind where you came in and he rises from his grave.
Yeah.
And there's like a shot of his face where he's like got this breath coming. It's like, why is he breathing?
But it's just like the atmosphere leading to it is
Yeah.
gorgeous. It's some great angles on those cameras. To
good shadow work.
Yeah.
Good chiaroscuro.
And I think it's also just a good puzzle to encourage you to be like, hey, use the examine tool on your objects
to examine before Death Mask.
Yeah. And it's a pretty easy one to follow for that as well.
Yeah.
Especially considering that fucking arrowhead is so obvious in the corridor it's in. It's like, you can't miss that. Come on.
And also when you pick up the arrowhead, it gives you the tutorial for examining items.
Yeah.
So you know to look at it.
But, where did that lead you?
To the garden.
To the gardens. Oh my god, the gardens. Now, I want to talk about this one part in the courtyard. Which I love this one segment of it. It's one of the fucking puzzles where it's this signpost, right?
Oh, with the dogs, yeah.
Yeah, with the dog statues. And the signposts are labelled North, Valley of Destruction, South, Cave of Hatred, East, the Summit of Madness, and West, the Path of Revenge.
Yeah. Late game, H.P. Lovecraft ass writing.
The courtyard, it's not necessarily like an amazing part of the game. I like the new thing they added to it, which is the cabin.
The cabin with Lisa, which is the first appearance of Lisa in the remake, who is a new character exclusively for the remake, and she's a knockout.
Yeah. She is a
top 10 hottest babes.
She at first kind of looks like a hunchbacky Igor style character
with multiple faces.
Yeah, sort of like strewn over her, chained up, and she sort of like waddles along.
Yeah,
waddles maybe a bit too cute of a word for it, but she sort of like limps along, and you can't kill her.
She's got weird plans.
She has weird plans.
You go into her dumbass cabin, which is great atmosphere, by the way. The detail on the backgrounds on that one is immaculate, and the fire burning in the fireplace gives it a real warm glow that's kind of unsettling.
Yeah.
But basically you go in there to there's like a weird little like outcropping at the back of her house with a trap door, which leads to the end of the game, which is really funny.
Yeah.
But you just never think to go in there, where you get this crank that you need to change the water level to access the guardhouse. And then you try to leave, and Lisa knocks you out by hitting you with her hands are like manacled together with these massive heavy chains.
Yeah.
And she knocks you on the head with them. And then apparently she like drags you to her room, leaves you, goes outside her house, waits outside the door for you to wake up, then goes back in and tries to kill you again.
Well, maybe she's off to go do something.
It's just because she returns so quickly.
Yeah.
You wake up, you go through the door, she's immediately back, you know? So she must have been right outside the door.
She was like, you better not be touching my crank, dearie!
I know, I resent you giving her an old lady voice, because she is not an old lady.
No.
She is very young indeed.
The courtyard, it's alright. It's there.
It takes you to the residence.
It takes you to the residence, which is...
You get attacked by little snakes. Unclear if they're infected in any way, or if they're just snakes.
Well, I like to think it's Wesker.
Dropping snakes.
Yeah,
on you.
because what happens is that you go through this long passage to get to the residence, and at first 2 snakes drop from the ceiling, and you obviously immediately walk past them because who cares? And then you keep going to another bit, and then 4 snakes get dropped down. So I bet Albert Wesker was just like, he had a big bag of snakes, and he was like, dang it. Maybe if I try 4 snakes.
Well, my favourite thing with the snakes is when you get access to Lisa's tunnels. And there's a bit when you're like going through this flooded passageway to get to her dark inner chamber. And as you start going down it, 2 snakes start following you. And I just imagine the developer being like, this bit's not tense enough. Add 2 snakes. And I shit you not, those snakes have never caught up to me.
Well, no, they never do.
You just keep going in your usual way, and the snakes are like, damn.
You're like up to your shoulders in water, and yet it doesn't slow you down.
No. I would say the residence is kind of the weirdest part of the game.
Yeah.
Because, okay, so there's 2 reasons for that. One is that it is the advent of the evil plant.
Yes.
And also it's when you fight the giant shark.
Yeah! That's underneath the residence.
Yeah, in the aqua ring.
Well, you're also forgetting that this is when this game becomes Resident Beevil. Because there are killer bees inside. And you go to the end of this...
What's going on in the residence, man? They were just throwing all their weird shit down there.
Umbrella were just like, we just don't know what the fuck to do with these projects. Yeah. It's just the idea that you go to the end of this corridor and there's a hole and you look at it and bees come out of it. And then it's
Once again, unclear if they're evil zombie bees or just regular bees.
And it's like, shit, I shouldn't have looked in the bee hole. And then you go
There's a great guy, though, who's like dead in the corner in the corridor where the bees are holding a bee-killing device.
Yeah.
His face is all fucked up from all the bee stings because he was trying to run in there and kill them and then got pwned by bees.
This is why you need to go to the bee hole. You gotta...
It's actually quite devious because to access the famous bee hole and enjoy the delicious honey contained within, you have to get a map off the wall, which then reveals the bee hole. Then you inject your stuff into the bee hole.
This is also where that jar room is, where Chris can't do math. It's a room entirely for Jill.
A room made only for Jill.
I swear to God, there's a bit in this game where if you're playing as Jill and you fight Plant 42, someone's got a flamethrower and they're being picked up by the big vines.
Yeah, it's Barry.
That's Barry?
Yeah.
Barry the hero.
I've just never seen it because I always make Virgil. So sorry,
Fair enough. I mean, that's the thing, you can't as Chris. You just kind of have to shoot the fucking plant.
Yeah, I've not battled Plant 42 in many years. It's been a long time since I tussled with that guy.
No, I don't blame you. I mean, I'd rather make the goddamn serum for it.
Yeah, I love doing basic maths. I love getting the 4 empty bottles. Doing that as Chris would be annoying, though.
Yeah.
6 inventory slots, God.
It's a fucking nightmare. I mean, we kind of talked about it with Signalis, how I find that limitation really annoying.
It's annoying in the residence as well, because in the first corridor of the residence, there's this hole in the ground, and if you don't put a box over it, Plant 42 goes, and pokes you on the head.
Like strangles you.
Yeah, so you have to like move a box over it, and then every time you want to go back to the item room in the residence, you have to climb over these boxes.
Yeah.
So playing as Chris and having to go back constantly to put your stuff away was really annoying in that area.
Oh, it was. I was going over those boxes all the fucking time. But as you say, this is also where it has the shark.
Yeah, and it's so silly because the puzzle flow in the residence is really stupid. Because basically it's a much smaller area than the mansion. It's basically like 7 rooms. So imagine it's like 2 sides, a section on the left, section on the right. It's basically get a key from the section on the left, go to the right, get a key to go back to the section on the left, and then backwards and forwards for a bit, going into these dumbass rooms where there's always zombies hanging from nooses. Yeah. And then they drop down. Woo!
Or they're in the bathroom.
Or in the bathroom.
You do so much unplugging of like bathtubs that are always full of water and always have like a little thing in them.
There's one that doesn't know, it's devastating.
No, yeah.
But then like, so to find... Alright. So to find the aqua ring, you have to go into one of these rooms and then move these bookshelves to reveal a really obvious ladder that goes down to a massive underwater facility that they were using to test their shark virus or whatever it is they're doing down there.
Like, what if we inject... They just really were like, what if we just inject the T-virus into anything vaguely dangerous?
But it's like...
We'll put it into bees.
So, like, the sharks, right? They are led by their beautiful leader, Neptune. But the Neptune is just like a normal-sized shark.
Yeah.
So I'm not quite sure what the T-virus is doing for those sharks.
I like to think it's nothing. The sharks are just aggressive.
There's a great section with the sharks, though. The aqua ring is flooded, and the sharks are able to swim around the entire area where humans walk in.
Yeah.
So you're walking along this like circular walkway while being chased by the sharks. And if you're in the area for too long, Neptune just comes and fucking chomps you up.
Yeah.
And you've got to really like run your way through there. And as someone who's scared of sharks, not ideal for me.
No.
Don't love that shit. Get me out of there.
They also try to break through the control room, and you have that little mini game where you gotta close the safety doors before the pressure.
But then the pressure breaks, and you've got to restore the pressure, and there's this bar going up until imminent shark death.
Yeah,
great bit. I like that.
I was good with that because that was a tense moment where like I could solve that easily. Like that wasn't like a cryptic puzzle.
It wasn't a pain point for you.
Yeah,
it's just doing things under pressure.
Yeah,
or the sharks are banging their heads against the walls. But then you get the greatest victory of all, because you finally do drain the water, and then you go out into the aqua ring and the sharks are on the ground flopping like, fuck.
Yeah. I think you electrocute one of them to death.
You electrocute Neptune to death because he's blocking a key, so you have to push this electrical breaker box into the water and then turn it on, and he's like, and you're like, fuck you, Neptune.
I thought Neptune was a girl.
It's a shark.
Like a mother.
I don't know. I mean, Black Widow's definitely a girl.
Yeah, because it's a spider.
It's the mother of all spiders.
The mother of all spiders.
Obviously, Zombie Bee is a girl.
This one's got the 3 big animal fears, this game. It's got snakes, sharks, and spiders in it.
Yeah. Although it's weird, because people always criticize Resident Evil 0 for being a lot of animal monsters, and it's like, did you play Resident Evil 1?
It had the guts to bring back spiders, which Resident Evil 2 wouldn't do.
You fight regular-sized snakes. Unclear if they're infected. They're just snakes.
Well, Yawn's a big evil snake.
Yeah, but Yawn,
he's a bioterror.
You got to put respect on Yawn's name.
Yeah, but
he's a bioterror.
The regular tiny snakes are probably just confused and hungry.
Just hanging out.
Where they're just like, what's happening? Oh,
woman,
bite.
They do poison you sometimes as well, which is a right pain in the butt.
Shall we move on to the tunnels then? I guess speaking about this part of the courtyard.
Well...
Or is there Mansion 2?
Mansion 2. There's not much to say about Mansion 2, though. Alright, here are the Mansion 2 points. You're trying to get 2 different kinds of item to go through 2 different kinds of door. The first are these 2 metal emblems that have a stone ring around them, which gain you access into Lisa's crypt world, which I'm not sure why Trevor built that, but so he could put his wife in there, I guess. And then you're also trying to get Book of Eagle and Book of Wolf, which you have to examine to get these 2 emblems of Eagle and Wolf, which you then use to gain access to the lab. The only real points of interest is that hunters are now here. We are now in the world of second-tier Resident Evil enemies that I think is stupid. Because hunters are just big green toad-looking things, and I think they're dumb and lame.
They're intimidating in that they're fast, and they're kind of tough.
They can do a big one-hit kill as well.
This is the point I just stop carrying the pistol and I start just taking my shotgun everywhere.
Yeah, you got to, man, you got to.
But
2 shotgun blasts, down.
Bada bing.
Yeah, they spawn a lot of those guys.
A lot of them.
So
many of these motherfucking...
Well, there's just like Doom mowing through hunters. Like,
I mean, there's like a lot of moments where the zombies just stop appearing because there are fucking hunters there now.
Well, honestly, in terms of like the escalation of the gameplay, at a certain point you can't do anything with zombies anymore.
Yeah.
They're so easy to dispatch when you have big weaponry and a lot of ammo.
And you've already got the Crimson Head bit, so,
I mean, Crimson Heads still spawn, but they're not as strong as hunters, so they kind of lose their potency in that way.
Exactly.
It's fine though, because it makes it for a good progression, right? Where these things that had once haunted you so viciously are now falling by the dozen to your hand. And by the dozen, I mean like 5.
You were mentioning about the objects that go into the crypt. I think that is one of those cases where I don't really like how they padded out that part of the puzzle. Because the stone and metal objects, it's just like, I just think it's fine to have those 2 things be like the keys to get into the crypt. But they split it up so one of them has the metal but not the stone. Yeah. And you have to go through Lisa's bit to get the stone
You're doing that bit entirely to get the stupid border for one of the emblems.
Yeah. I don't dislike it because it's a hard puzzle. It isn't. It's just kind of a frustrating one to encounter and be like, but I want to... This crypt door has been staring me in the face since the beginning of the game. Just let me in. Like, come on. But I do like where you have to go in order to get it, which is, of course, the tunnels.
The wacky tunnels. Well, you do fight Yawn again. We've kind of not talked about Yawn that much. Yawn's a big snake. He eats Richard. It's really funny. It's also one of the only cutscenes in the game you can't skip. So you always have to watch Richard get owned every time you play through Joel's campaign. The thing about Yawn that I think is funny is that Yawn is a venomous snake. He poisoned Richard. We have to go get serum for him. And if he bites you when you're in the first visit to the mansion, he does poison you and you have to go get serum for yourself.
Yeah.
When you find him the second time, he's just forgotten to have it. Like, he doesn't do poison damage anymore. And you kill him in this library, and then when you kill him, he knocks his head into a bookcase, and it just happens to knock a really important book over.
It's the wolf book.
Yeah, the wolf book. Yeah, it's like, oh, thanks, Yawn. Couldn't have done it without you.
And that's what you need for that silly puzzle room where it's like, there are 2 animal heads with gems in their eyes, and there are eagle statues that slowly turn to face them, and if they look at them, then the gems lock and you can't get them. And it's like, oh, alright.
You know how at the end of Rambo, it goes like to the brave fighters of Afghanistan?
Yeah.
Like, this game should end to the bravery of Yawn.
Oh, the bravery of Yawn.
Couldn't have done it without you, Yawn.
Rest in peace, Yawn.
Yeah.
Shall we talk about the tunnels?
Tunnels, man. Run away from boulders. Fight a big snake.
You do. This is where Chris Redfield and Crash Bandicoot 1996 icons
They overlap,
They
yeah.
overlap a lot. Only eventually Chris grows to face his fears and Crash continues to avoid them.
I guess Chris does become the boulder punching dream boy.
He does.
Yeah.
Whereas Jill and Crash, a lot more in common. Basically 2 sides of the same coin.
There's also the section in which you find Enrico, one of the members of S.T.A.R.S, in a cave, and he's like, Jill, there's been a traitor, and then someone shoots him, and Jill's like, I guess he was right.
And you just turn around and you're just like, who could it be? Oh, by the way, he's carrying a crank. Who could it be? And you rush.
He's carrying the hexagon crank as opposed to the square crank.
Oh! And you fucking, like, rush after the person with the gun and a fucking hunter spawns in. And it's like, oh, shit.
Well,
It was you were behind all this.
you say spawn in, and our listeners might assume you mean that he gets spawned in off screen. But he comes through the door and, emerges like, ha!
Yeah. I also love the entire thing where they're going, like, who could possibly have shot Enrico? And it's like, maybe it's the only other male character in the game.
Barry.
You're right, it has to be Barry.
Why couldn't it have been Rebecca?
Why couldn't it be? Well, this train of thought crossed my mind today, playing the sequence, where I was like, wouldn't it have been incredible
If Rebecca was evil.
if the other player character was evil?
Oh, evil Jill.
Yeah, evil Jill or
Yeah.
evil Chris.
Evil Chris.
And
We'd
they
have to
both
wait till Village for evil Chris.
and they both have their own separate motivations for growing the tyrant and starting all of this.
And then Capcom would say they were both evil.
Yeah, but they were also both good.
Yeah, in the canon timeline.
And Wesker was actually a good guy all along. That'd be the biggest twist.
Oh, Wesker was misunderstood.
I wanna live the good Wesker timeline.
Tunnels, stupid.
Yeah,
you have to do puzzles.
There's a box crushing puzzle.
Yeah, you have to break it to get a broken flamethrower so you can put it on this wall and it opens a door.
Yeah, because all of the doors in the tunnels are opened entirely by putting a flamethrower onto a thing so it lifts the door up. And
They once again do dirty by one of the animal bosses because, like Neptune, Black Widow, who's a giant spider, fucking stupid.
yeah,
Because Black Widow's in
good.
this room, and like the whole thing is that they've blocked the door out with webs, and if you can just break the webs quickly enough, you could just leave Black Widow in that room and be
Yeah.
like, get out of here, Black Widow.
Well, I don't mind that. I think it's good to give the player those options.
I love to shoot enemies with my gun.
But I just like the fact that the broken flamethrower is also needed to get into Lisa Trevor's little hidey hole.
Yeah, Lisa Trevor coming out every day from her hidey hole, picking up the flamethrower and putting it on the spokes.
Yeah, and she's like, oh, Jill took my flamethrower again.
Well, the flamethrower was in a box. It's in a massive wooden crate that contains only a single flamethrower. It's a very confusing little setup
It's
they've
the
got there.
only thing that can survive the hydraulic press.
Also, like the box is in this random cave room.
Yeah.
And you have to put it in a lift with the lift thing that delivers it to the room with the press.
Yeah.
And then you have to push the box into the press and then you get the broken flamethrower and then Barry betrays you by going up the lift and she's like, Barry!
Oh my god. Yeah, for Chris it's just broken. Which I just assumed it was like Lisa like smashed it up or something.
Yeah.
But with Barry it's just he just fucking gets out of there.
Well, it's great because it's like you go back to that room and there's a cutscene where like it's like a single frame of Barry like woohoo like flying off. You do all this for the single purpose of getting a little stone ring.
Yes, so that you can attach the metal object to get the stone and metal object.
But you get it from Lisa's room.
Yeah.
It's got a picture of a family.
It does.
Yeah.
It's got her in it as well. And it's got her diary as she is being transformed by the T-Virus, which is... I kind of love it. I kind of love the entry for that. Because it's a kind of harrowing little account of this like girl who doesn't understand what's happening to her. And one of the things she says, I think it's something like, I put Mummy's face on me so that she's with me all the time.
Yeah.
And Mummy doesn't like it when I visit her without her face. And that leaves enough to the imagination to go, what the fuck is happening here?
Well, isn't there also like an implication that Umbrella are sending like lookalikes?
Yes, they are.
Because they killed her mother.
Because it's like, she says it's mummy, but it's not her. She has her face, but it's not her. I took her face.
Yeah.
And it's like, holy fucking shit.
This is cool as shit.
Yeah, it's a great part, and you feel so bad for her. Like, Jesus Christ.
Her only crime was having a great architect dad.
Yeah.
Who looked at a design proposal that was build a bunch of dumb traps and went, okay, I mean.
Oh, gosh, sure, I will. But this then leads you into the crypt. I'll start with Chris's version of this, where Chris goes down there and Albert Wesker is like, yo, Lisa's down here, fucking shoot her, fucking kill her dead.
Well, it's cool because, like, the crypt is located behind the stairs in the foyer, and when you click on them for the first time, you hear Lisa do a scream.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's actually called the altar on the actual game's map.
I guess so, yeah, that makes sense.
But it has these 4 big stone pillars attached to chains.
We are out here, Fiona boss fight from Holding Ground posting, because it's just about pushing 4 blocks.
It is.
It's like these 4 blocks with chains on them, and you have to push them, and each one has to be pushed a different number of times.
Ooh.
All while trying to avoid Lisa, because she's like crawling around and she's trying to knock you off. And can she kill Wesker in Chris's version?
I don't think she can.
That wouldn't make sense, because Barry can be removed from the story, but Wesker very much can't.
Yeah.
So in Jill's version, there's an additional complication, because if she hits you and you're near the edge, she'll knock you off the edge and you'll instantly die. But she can also kill Barry by doing that to him.
Yeah, well, you also get a situation where you can take Barry's gun.
Well, it's very confusing, again, if you think about it from a logical point of view, because, like, you've just had to get these 2 stone emblems from very specific places to open the door to this crypt. And then you go down there and Barry's just, like, looking at the grave for some reason.
Yeah.
And it's unclear what he's looking for. And then he turns around and he's like, Jill, I'm sorry about the whole elevator business, but you know, it was pretty tough. And then, like, Lisa shows up and he's like, you gotta help me. And then you can give him back his gun, or you can keep it for yourself, acquiring you a second Magnum if you want to have that going for you. But not giving Barry back his gun does doom him to an early grave.
That's the thing, like, do you trust Barry? Do you think he's double-crossed you? Someone's randomly shooting S.T.A.R.S members. Something's happening here.
Who could it be?
Is it the only other character in this story, I wonder? But yeah, you can either push the blocks down in order to open the crypt to show Lisa's mother, where she looks at the corpse and then jumps down into the abyss and she disappears from the game, or you can just shoot her to death. After this, you use those fucking medals from the Eagle and Lion, or whatever the fuck it's called, and you go into the lab where we all began. I don't have anything to say about the lab other than there are bugs in it.
Listen, there are bugs in the lab. You use Mo discs on Gamecubes to open the secret prison cell.
You're right, you have to put them into Gamecubes.
It has my favourite item in the game, which is the slides, which is when you learn to your horror that Albert Wesker is a bad man. And alright, listen, this is the funniest thing that's ever happened. If you don't laugh, we're done, we're over, it's through. Basically, you get these slides, you get them in the evil fuel room with the evil fuel. You take it back upstairs to the slide room, you put it into the slides, it's showing you all the project pictures. They're like, we invented sharks, we invented bees.
We invented them.
Yes, because it just shows you a picture of a normal-looking shark, and it's like, good job, idiots.
Project Neptune.
You get a picture of the Umbrella research team, and who is that standing in the back with his fucking sunglasses? It's none other than Albert Wesker.
Yeah!
And I love it so much, because I think they acknowledge that there was no way you would recognize him just by his face, so he's wearing his stupid sunglasses.
He's been wearing it inside the entire time. The entire game takes place at night. We're always indoors.
They didn't invade daytime until Resident Evil 5.
Oh, right, yeah. Hey, that's not true. Resident Evil 4, you spend a good chunk of it outside in the day.
But it's Spain.
That's true. It's foreign daytime.
Yeah, it's Europe, so it fucking sucks.
Yeah, true. It is always overcast.
Yeah, so you got to get these Mo discs, Connor, and you have to use them on the GameCube, your GameCube. Please turn off the game console now, Snake. And you have to do this to rescue Jill or Chris, depending on which campaign you're doing. It's so funny. They're in prison.
Yeah, they're in jail.
They're in a little prison cell. Like, apparently Wesker knocked them out and dragged them all the way to the lab through his secret imposter vent. Like, because, like, did he, like... Alright, this is the question of all time. The entrance into the prison which is like, it makes no sense. It's like, you go down this really long stairway and it's just one cell. That's all there is. And to get there, you have to disengage these 3 locks by inputting 3 mode discs and 3 different GameCubes spread throughout the lab for some godforsaken reason. So at the start of the game, did Albert Wesker knock Chris out, drag him all the way to prison, go, "You stay in there, Chris. I'm gonna kill Enrico, but not you for reasons that are unclear." And then he went out, he locked the door, he took the motus and went, "I'm gonna put these in 3 places throughout the mansion." And Jill will never find them. Because she has to get the blue gem from the statue and use it on the lion key.
This is what's so funny about Wesker, because there's like 2 different points in the game where he drops off items for you and leaves a little note being like, "Hi there, I just thought I'd drop these supplies off to help you out. Anyway, don't investigate the evil plans and Umbrella."
In Jill's campaign, that's Barry who does that.
Oh, is it Barry?
Yeah,
for Chris, it's Wesker.
Because there's no Barry.
There's no Barry. He doesn't exist.
They had no faith in Rebecca to be able to give you items, I guess.
I love it. It's 3 fucking GameCubes. In the later ports, it's not GameCubes.
They're just regular, they're non-specific cubes.
Yeah, non-specific.
They still look like GameCubes, but they're not actionable by law.
In 1996, Umbrella Corporation invented the GameCube.
They fed it to a shark. You'll be shocked by the results. Do you think Umbrella were reading the reports about the RE4 incident, and they saw that they invented a really cool, unique fish, and they were like, "Fuck. All we could do was make sharks slightly bigger." They made a big old guy.
Oh god, with the worm they put in
it.
Listen, there's 3 kinds of viruses. There's worm, there's mold, and there's put a little crazy magic in them, baby. It makes sharks angry. It makes William Birkin go boo-boo-boo-boo.
Well, that's the G virus.
Yeah, but they're the same thing.
No, they're not.
They're the same thing.
The T virus is the tyrant virus.
They're both the same type of thing. That's what I mean. The 3 types of virus. Worm, mold, other.
You gave me such a little smile after you said that.
Because I realised how I sound. I'm an insane person. Anyway, speaking of insane people, we have to talk about Wesker. Because you eventually go into the lab and Wesker is there. And then Wesker is like, "Guess what, you fools? It was me all along." He then goes, "Guess what?" And he
shows you a big guy.
He shows you an 8-foot tall guy with a weird big arm, and he says, "This is the ultimate life form." And it is not Shadow the Hedgehog, so he's totally failed.
Yeah.
At which point, Jill just kind of mocks him, and Chris laughs at it.
He says, "Wesker, you've gone senile," which makes no sense.
It's really good in the original because Chris starts laughing, and Wesker's like, "Hey, stop it." Like, he's getting actually mad.
Well, I think, Connor, with my big brain, that they didn't think Wesker would be a series villain.
No.
Because he's not in 2 or 3.
Effectively, he, dies.
Yeah, he's on his little computer, and he's tip-tapping away, and he solves the hacking minigame, and it starts to lower the water in the tyrant's tank, and he goes up to it, and he's like, "Oh," and then the tyrant just fucking kills him, instantly, and it's like, what were you expecting, my man? You then must engage in the battle of a century against the tyrant.
Yes.
Yeah, you shoot him 6 times with a magnum and he dies. He's so funny as well, because the tyrant, stomps towards you really slowly, so every time I play it, he just starts stomping, and I'm like, pew, pew. And then he just falls flat on his face, like, oh.
But after this, you obviously have to blow up the lab to bury the bioterror, to get rid of it entirely, get the fuck out of there. But the tyrant ain't dead yet. You go up to the courtyard where Brad on the helicopter is like, "Hey, I'm gonna get the fuck out of here if none of you show up."
We keep getting radio calls from Brad being like, "Guys, the chicky nuggies are getting cold." Also, apparently Brad is just flying in a circle around the helicopter for 8 hours.
Well, I guess he doesn't know what else to do.
Yeah, classic Brad behavior.
And that's when you get to the courtyard, you send off the flares to signal Brad, and then you and anyone that you've successfully rescued, you shoot the tyrant a few times, Brad drops a rocket launcher down, you pick it up, it shows you shooting the rocket launcher at many angles, tyrant blows up.
He just takes it like a champ. Yeah. He's just standing there completely neutrally, like, oh.
And then you watch a cutscene where the entire mansion blows up with the stock sound effects.
Yeah, and it goes, bow, down, bow.
I wish it did.
Yeah, that would be better.
But that's Resident Evil. Can we talk about the characters and the memos? Oh my god. So, I think every interaction with all the side characters in this game are really funny. Because obviously, Barry and Rebecca are actual characters and they're present for a good chunk of the game. Same with Wesker as a villain. But there's so many points in this game where you go into a room and there's just a random member of S.T.A.R.S. and you go, "Oh, Gilbert, it's good to see you." And then in like 5 seconds they immediately get owned by something. And sometimes it's a snake, sometimes it's just getting shot. Sometimes it's a poison that they've been infected with where you need to fucking, like, speed run to your safe room to get the serum and
I
come
like
back.
when you find Forrest on the outside balcony on the first floor, and what Jill says is, looks like he's given up the ghost. And it's like me when my friend has been killed horribly. I feel like I must have dreamed this, because I've never been able to find the picture again, but there's, like, a picture out there of, like, the full S.T.A.R.S team, and, like, one of them has a mortar. And it's like, what's mortar guy bringing to the situation?
I think I said this in Resident Evil 2, probably dropping smokes.
Alright, Mr. Man.
Maybe flares.
I like he's just shelling the bee. He's shelling the bees.
He's shelling the bees. He's got insecticide in it. That guy would have made all the difference in Resident Evil 1.
He would have changed things.
Yeah. Richard might have survived.
Richard Atkins, yeah.
So what do you have to say about Rebecca?
Okay, alright. This goes deep. This is the deep Rebecca lore. So, for some reason, I guess someone said, what if there was a Resident Evil game set on a train? And then no one else thought of any ideas. So they made a prequel game called Resident Evil 0, which released in 2003, I think I want to say. Somewhere around there. If anyone's curious about how I feel about Resident Evil 0, it is ranked at the number 2 spot at the bottom of my favorite Resident Evil games. It's only bested in quality badness by Resident Evil 6.
Yeah.
It's not a good game. But apparently, Rebecca, in her own time, a day before the events of Resident Evil, went on her own Resident Evil journey, was on a train, got attacked by slug people and like giant scorpions, met a convict called Billy, found another Spencer mansion that's like the Spencer mansion but dumber, fought her own tyrant, escaped from the giant opera-singing slug man, let that sink in, separated from Billy, took a train to the Spencer mansion, got inside and was like, I will speak of this to no one. No one can know that I just... Like, you go with Wesker, and he shows you the tyrant, and Rebecca's there. And Rebecca doesn't go, I've seen this guy before. I killed him like an hour ago. Which she has canonically done. It's so ridiculous.
That's why Wesker had to shoot her first, because he knew she could take down a tyrant.
He also didn't talk about that bit, because he shoots her, and then Rebecca goes, thank God I was wearing my bulletproof vest. And it's like, Wesker, aren't you the head of this team? Didn't you know that she was wearing a bulletproof vest?
Well, you see, it's because when Richard went back to the 1950s, he remembered that Rebecca would be killed by the Libyans. So he left a note to Rebecca 30 years in the past to remind her to put on a bulletproof vest because of what was about to happen. So when he came back to 1985, he turned up and Rebecca, having just been shot, gets back up and goes, well, I mean, I read the envelope. And it goes da 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 da, and then it's done.
What are you talking about?
Back to the Future. Ash is not a cultured, like...
Do I look 50 to you? I wasn't born in the 80s. Alright, did you tell me about your funny memos?
Yeah, I feel like we haven't really talked much about, and I will elaborate it once we get to the conclusion, about how there are a couple of, like, kind of dissenting accounts on this game of people who didn't get along very well with it. And one of the things they like to poke fun at are the memos. And admittedly, Resident Evil memos are stupid. Because it's usually a guy going, day one, the heads of the company have said that we need to poke all of the evil monkeys with big shock sticks that make them really angry at us. I don't know why we're doing it, but, it's really fun, so I'm going to keep doing it. Day 2, the monkeys escaped. The rage virus has hit Earth. And like that kind of thing.
Yeah, or they're like really, really long accounts of stuff, and then the last note was like, I'm being killed, but I must keep writing.
Yeah, well, like, oh no, But one of them I really like is just like, because it's a very gamey piece of dialogue. It's when it's trying to tell you about the dog whistle thing. The guy writing the memo is basically writing to someone says, hey, remember that item that you always wanted? Well, I've entrusted it to this dog, right? And it's like, what do you mean, remember that item that you wanted? Yeah. Who the fuck describes something vaguely as the item?
Member of staff out there yearning for the imitation armor key. He wants it every day. He's pining for it. and he has to make an illicit deal with his butler to have it put onto the collar of a zombie dog.
Yeah.
That you have to with a dog whistle to get.
It's because he really wants to get into the armor rooms.
Yeah.
So he can pick up 6 shotgun shells and a red herb.
Wants to go to the wasp room. Look at all the fishing lures. The fishing lures / fish hook room.
That becomes a bee.
That becomes an evil bee that gives you the wind crest. And Barry's in there and he reads a note and he goes, "This is stupid." Anyway, see you later, babe.
The other ones I want to mention, because one of them that became infamous are Itchy Tasty.
Itchy Tasty.
And Eat Doggy Food is another one. Because it's an account of someone infected by the T-virus that's slowly turning into a zombie and they're still trying to write.
Yeah.
But one of the lines in that I find really funny is where he says, "Itchy, itchy, Scott came ugly face, so kill him. Tasty."
Like, bro, put down the pen.
Like, whoa. And the last one is, of course, George Trevor, the designer of the mansion.
Yeah.
Because it's an account of him just talking about how he's had to create this mansion with all of these elaborate puzzles and traps, and how he eventually gets trapped in it trying to escape with his wife and kids.
Yeah.
And it's just like, there's just bits where he's like, "Oh, I just remember making all these puzzles, but I'm lost. I went into this room and it has a gravestone with my name on it. Those fuckers are mocking me.
Yeah, like,
I'm sorry, Jessica."
Apparently Oswald E. Spencer is the sickest fucko of all time, because he made this entire room to fuck with the architect.
Yeah.
It's like, man.
Like, I feel bad for the Trevors, obviously. Lisa's fate is horrific, and we can only imagine really what happened to Jessica and George. We have a few accounts.
Yeah, they're all dead.
Yeah, but they are gone. But it just makes me laugh. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because you find his notes in a bunch of different places, and you just imagine him, like, snuffling around, like, I have to go to the fucking statue crushing room.
Yeah, did he have to push those around?
Yeah.
Did he have to rotate them on a little
But
tilt?
it's like, the whole premise of the game is that this is like a secret front for Umbrella's laboratory research.
Yeah.
So did Oswald Spencer live in this mansion? And he had staff, and they were all having to navigate all these traps and puzzles
Yeah,
to
that's
bring him his breakfast?
Do you imagine going into work and forgetting to bring the sword key with you?
Yeah.
And you're like, fuck, I can't go into the goddamn kitchen.
You have your, like, entrance to the library, but if you want to sneak in around the back, you have to go through the Crusher Spitty Blade room. Like, what's going on in them?
It's one of those little things that slightly holds Resident Evil's like mansion design back from being like utter peak, is that despite being a mansion, it doesn't feel like a conceivable, livable space. And I know it is a front.
I think the thing that gives it the best excuse out of all the environments in that game, or in the series, because in Resident Evil 2, they're like, the police station used to be a museum, and everyone knows that museums have devilish puzzles in them, and it's like, what are you talking about?
What kind of museum?
But like, the justification in RE1 is that it's like, Spencer is fucking crazy, he makes his evil mansion, and it's like, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's still stupid that he would decide it like this.
Yeah.
Like, it's entirely unrelated to his desire to create the ultimate bioweapon, because like, it would be less suspicious to have a normal mansion.
Yeah.
Like, having this evil mansion just reveals that he is just a fucking evil genius with, like, I'm gonna have my crushing room and my poison room and my many snakes.
Yeah.
It's also kind of unclear how the T-virus even got out in the first place.
Yeah, because in Resident Evil 2 it makes sense.
Yeah.
Whereas Resident Evil 1, it's just like, I guess the members of the lab got infected, starting biting people. They also bit the dogs. The dogs then, like, jumped
Bit
out.
the wasps.
Like, well, like, the dogs are shown, like, jumping over fences in, like, the courtyard, where you...
Yeah, and like, the whole thing that, like, the instigating incident that starts the event of the story is that hikers are being cannibalized in the mountains.
Yeah.
But I just, like, alright, so the whole thing that's funny about Resident Evil is that, like, anytime there's an outbreak, I always, like, I know you see it in RE2, so it makes sense. Obviously, they shoot Burke, and then he drops the samples of the T-virus onto the rats, and so on and so forth. But I can only imagine in this one, like, they're, like, doing a routine, like, transferring of the virus, and then they give it to Slippin' Jimmy, who just, like, whoa!
Slippin' Jimmy.
And then he drops it in such a way that it pours directly into his mouth and eyes, and then no one thinks to shoot him while he's becoming a zombie, which is a process that takes, like, hours.
Do you think they just don't tell the scientists what the virus does?
I guess not, yeah. I mean, alright, so actually, I guess maybe the problem is that they weren't trying to make a zombie virus. They were trying to make the Make Sharks Big virus.
Yeah.
And then they just ended up making zombies by mistake, which is always the most confusing part about
They
it.
wanted to make a really big snake and an evil plant.
I just don't get it. Because they're trying to make the tyrants.
Yeah.
What's the virus got to do with that? Have they got a normal guy who they inject and that makes him a tyrant?
Yeah, is that the end goal?
Because it seems like they just made that guy.
Yeah, in a big test tube.
Yeah,
A test tube. His father, Albert Wesker, his mother, Tube. Well, did you want to mention Gaiden, or can that wait?
I know I have to mention Gaiden for the real ones out there. Okay, so we can't actually talk about Gaiden, because Gaiden's a different game.
Yeah, and we haven't played it.
Gaiden is a Game Boy Color exclusive spin-off of Resident Evil that is Undertale.
What?
They couldn't think of a good way to have zombie combat on the GBC, so they just fucking made a weird turn-based, like, QTE system where you're like... It's like when you have the tough glove in Undertale and you're trying to make the bar hit in the right point to shoot zombies.
Yeah.
Here's the rundown. Gaiden is awful. I hate it so much because every fucking item in the game is invisible. It's infuriating. You just gotta wander around clicking on things. The other thing is that there is a cancelled port which has since leaked in almost a complete form of the original Resident Evil to the Game Boy Color. It's so funny. It's like, what if Jill was made of 8 very thick pixels and she's just like distorting her way down the mansion, and like they can't even have the dining table in the dining room because the GBC can't fucking handle that shit. And it's a very, very fun curio. I've exclusively played it on a hacked Wii. It's the only place it can be enjoyed, really.
Yeah.
So, guy who wanted me to talk about the GBC port, it's really funny. I would invite everyone to go and look at it. It's very fun to watch.
Please give it a shot. That is Resident Evil Remake. A game that makes us laugh, makes us cry, makes us engage with it in an incredibly obsessive level, makes us appreciate it, admire it, grit our teeth at it, want to shake the controller, want to shake the guy making it, want to shake the hand of the guy making it for doing such a good job.
Well, I got a handwritten letter from Shinji Mikami.
You did?
Well, not really, no. But when you beat the game on True Survival, you get a note from Shinji Mikami where it's like, here's looking at you, kid. And I'm like, wow, this is the most validation I'll have in my entire life. I am going to say to you all, my trusted friends, compatriots, in my opinion, this is the most expertly designed game of all time. I think it's a game that I will continue to finish over and over again until I die. I always find new things to enjoy about it. I think it's so intricate. I think all the pieces fit together in such a beautiful way. I love that you and I have different experiences with it, to the sense that to you it's still a big scary mansion game where you're wandering around and trying to do your best. But then once you play it over and over again, it becomes an optimization game and you truly feel like you've mastered something complex and interesting. And I love it.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
I do think that Resident Evil is an interesting one, because I think it's a very Marmite game. Because to me, Resident Evil 1, both it and the remake, are kind of an exercise of how far can you push a challenging puzzle-based resource management, get out of the way of the enemies, navigate a space game. How far can you go with the satisfying to complete challenge until it becomes frustrating?
Yeah.
Because there are aspects of it that are frustrating. Sometimes the puzzle logic doesn't really click like it did for me in the piano room, where admittedly that was quite circumstantial, but there can be a few times where you can really do feel like you're stuck and you're trying to put everything together and you feel kind of like you're aimlessly wandering around.
Well, I would say I guess your mileage will vary.
Yeah.
I feel like there's no game where you won't have a puzzle like that.
But it's the same thing when it comes to the controls. Some people really do not get on with tank controls and find them a real deal breaker. The remake does have alternate controls, which aren't tank controls, and for my Chris playthrough, I did decide to switch to alternate controls to get a taste of that.
Yeah.
To see what that was like. And because the game is still fresh to me, it wasn't necessarily like I easily got around everything. Like, there's still tight corridors, the zombies will still lunge at you. If you're not familiar with the game, it's still a challenge. It just might be something that takes the edge off of that challenge, you know. If you're someone that really doesn't get along with that thing, it's an option. And I'm not going to judge you for it, but Ash definitely will.
Yeah, so it's a really, really great answer you gave. I think it's very admirable of you. If you use them, I will ask God to buy you from my section of heaven. I'm not going to make it because it's now midnight and we've been talking for almost 3 hours. I think people not getting on with tank controls is people being stubborn. I think if you take 10 minutes to learn them, they make perfect sense. Well, they're fine.
I think they make for great tension, is the
I
thing.
know, I don't agree. I think they work perfectly fine. I can play this game and control the characters so easily. I have a massive bee in my bonnet about it. It's not just about tank controls. I think people want things to be smooth, and I hate that. Like, not everything has to be smooth. Learn to use a new system. It's fine. You can do it. Like, it's honestly my opinion, and I know I'm crazy for it, and they're going to burn me at the stake. I think tank controls work perfectly fine. People just don't want to learn things.
I understand. Tank controls is like the main one people talk about, but I also briefly mentioned about like puzzles. I also imagine some people would get kind of annoyed at the combat thing of like, like, you know, oh, okay, it's random how many bullets it takes and that sort of thing. But ultimately, as you say, it's a game where a lot of this stuff is very deliberate and thoughtful.
Yeah.
And I think this game can really shine when you get into a flow of it. You're going from space to space, you're avoiding danger to danger, and it can be really fun.
Yeah.
As someone new to the game, I sometimes hit roadblocks, I sometimes got frustrated, and I still think, in my personal opinion, I prefer the Resident Evil 2 remake as that balance between logical puzzle solving and navigation and combat.
Oh yeah, and let no one here judge you for such an opinion, because that is also an impeccable game.
Yeah. But Resident Evil 1 is still really, really good, and I think just from a visual standpoint, like, the atmosphere is incredible.
Yeah. Then peace can be maintained.
Let's talk about the ranking, shall we?
Let's do it.
Okay, so I feel like I could pretty easily guess where you'd put this on quality, right?
I would say, with my whole heart, this is the best game on the list.
5 stars.
Up there with Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 5.
Resident Evil 5, whoa!
This is a 5-star stunner of a game. This is top 5 quality for me. I genuinely think this is like my favorite designed game of all time on a mechanical level.
Okay.
Choose your words carefully, traveler.
With the argument that I've made, because admittedly some of it did affect me personally, I'm gonna say 4.5.
Affected you personally. You were like staring in the mirror in the bathroom like, fuck. I couldn't find the song notes.
This game makes me face the uncomfortable question of, am I just an idiot? Because I bet the internet would say yes.
You put it like that, I get you, because I'm like that with your RTS games, where I watch you play it and I'm like, he's a wizard. I don't know how he thinks about all this stuff. You moving the mouse around to turn Warhammer was like you were composing a symphony. I was confused by what you were doing, and it scared me.
I would say the same thing about the perfect pirouette of dancing that you do with your fucking Resident Evil, like, perfect runs. And you come back to me and you're like, yeah, I did it in 2 hours. And I'm like, holy shit.
You gotta do it, man, to get the infinite ammo handgun.
Oh, my word.
Or the rocket launcher, I think.
Yeah, as a thought, interesting.
Interesting, I'm gonna say 2.5.
Yeah?
This is just, you know, it's like, would you say that Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is interesting? Like, it's like a big mainstream product, like the biggest name in survival horror. Like, it's a very good game, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's that interesting.
I suppose that's true. I think for me, I guess I would say like a 3, I suppose.
Yeah.
I think it's a very interesting, unique case. It's a remake that was only 6 years old from its original product. Yeah. It's a one-of-a-kind, like, pioneer of its sort of, like, genre. It's really the last Resident Evil of its type. And I think that is interesting about it, and, like, a few of these decisions on, like, how to design it, adding Lisa into the game. But it's not, like, the craziest thing ever. It's no tulip.
I think the distance between us can never be bridged.
Why?
I think for me, why I kind of rate this lower and interesting is because for me, this is like the bread of games.
Because you've played it so often.
It's so familiar to me that it's not interesting anymore.
I think when we start talking about like Crash Bandicoot games, we're going to be flipped.
Yeah. I'm like, dude, did you see the fucking submarine level? That shit was crazy.
Yeah, and I'd be like, yeah, it's like fucking 0.5 stars on interesting.
That's like my Tuesday.
Yeah, because I know all this. I'm the best. I love Spyro.
I love you, Spyro.
I love Spyro too. Let me kiss him. So what about fun, Ash?
I'm going to give it a 3 on the fun scale.
Yeah.
Because this is another case where I made Connor play a survival horror game. He has a smooth brain. He doesn't appreciate my charms.
It's another case where you play it by yourself and like you get on with it really well.
Yeah.
I think our actual session of it, which we didn't really talk about a lot for this because there was more important stuff to discuss,
This got a 0.5 bump on the usual survival horror scale because you kept, every time you went into any room, you just kept saying President Evil in a bewildered tone. And it was mesmerizing and concerning.
This game started to kind of fry my brain. I sometimes get into a weird headspace when I'm playing stuff where I kind of get overstimulated and I just kind of go, not actually insane, but I just kind of ramble.
Yeah.
And it culminated in one moment where we were talking about Rebecca Chambers. And also Doodle Jump.
Yes.
And we knew someone in school who I will not name, whose name is vaguely similar to Rebecca Chambers.
And she was an unusual girl.
She was an unusual girl, and I accidentally said her name while trying to say, do you think Rebecca Chambers could survive Doodle Jump? And you gave me such a look of disgust and bewilderment that I cried laughing.
I know.
Because I just realized what I maybe sound like I should be, locked up. While I was running around the mansion foyer trying to figure out where the fuck to use the fucking helm key.
I also think the other thing about President Evil is that it seemed to me that you were saying it when there was something mysterious going on. Like you'd go into a strange room with a puzzle you hadn't solved and you'd go, President Evil. And I was like, what do you mean?
Well, that's the CEO of Umbrella Corp. He's President Evil. Yeah. I think for fun, with that in mind, 2.5?
Connor had 2.5 funds.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the energy was pretty good when we played it. Yeah. I was enjoying experiencing this game for the first time. It does frustrate me. It does frustrate me sometimes. But I bet in 2 playthroughs it won't anymore.
Yeah, then you'll be operating on my level.
Yeah, exactly. And I will be a changed person.
Yes. Then you'll love Haunting Ground. And your downfall will begin.
Oh no. I can't live in that world. Well, I think this is a great way to wrap up the season. I mean, we're on our 24th episode, so that's 12 games. And we've started the season with Resident Evil. We've ended the season with Resident Evil. This is fantastic.
And everyone knows we have fantastic 11-episode seasons.
11? Oh, I guess this is 11.
Yeah.
Well, how are we going to wrap this up?
I think it's time that your audience lost their respect for you.
Like they haven't already?
I think they must come to understand the bubbling boil of contradictions that make up your soul, in which you are a man who professes to despise anime, Japanimation, even to the extent that you have bought an incendiary t-shirt to that effect. And yet, despite all this, despite all your claims to the contrary, you have a love in your heart for Fire Emblem. Although that love will not become clear as we discuss. Specifically, stick with us here, Fire Emblem Fate's Birthright for the Nintendo 3DS, a game which Connor has played for 5,000 hours. Which he has spent hundreds of pounds to acquire in all its forms, which he loves with every fibre of his being, and which the depths of which will be unveiled next week when we release it in 7 months.
Viewers, Ash is simultaneously the one that speaks the truth and the one that tells lies here.
Everything I said has a kernel of truth.
She is right in that I did spend £100 on a copy of Fire Emblem Fates. That I do like Fire Emblem. I don't like Fire Emblem Fates.
But you've played hundreds of hours of it.
And unfortunately, I will have to play more. And I fucking wish I didn't. I wish I'd left it behind. I did 1 playthrough of each route, very thorough, and I thought I was done. And just when I thought I was done, you've pulled me back in, you...
It's actually pretty exciting. I'm sure we'll get into it more when we actually do the episode, but this is the actual, for realsies, first game on the list.
Yeah.
This predates the list existing. This predates everything. You thought Clock Tower was the beginning of all this? It goes deeper than that. Connor bought a 3DS so he could play Tomodachi Life. And from there, we have reached this point.
And unfortunately, it led to me eventually playing Fire Emblem. Thank you for listening, viewers.
Please look forward to the worst day of our lives.
Yeah. Find yourself a lovely little safe room.
Yeah.
Keep your stuff in your item box. And enjoy the next episode with us. If you would like to see anything more from me, I'll link my main channel. I will put the next episode up if it's on. Previous episode on the other side.
I'll open a secret Twitch account where I'm streaming him eating his lunch. You can see the grapes he eats.
When I'm sitting there like a Roman senator eating my fucking wrap and grapes.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude.
Thank you ever so much for joining us today. Have a very safe night.
Very safe night.
In this spooky, spooky house.
Every other episode, they've had risky nights following.
Yeah, they've had to dodge so many Crimson Heads.
Yo, dude, it's tough. Stay fast. Anyway, it's so late.
Make
good choices.
And take care of yourselves out there.
Ciao.
Jill, you did a fine job.